And now on Who's Views, it's time for the latest headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Here we go then, Who viewers. Nice to see you, Nice. Welcome, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, to Who's Views. It's your headlines, and we are live on Sunday, the 1st of December, 2024. Yes, the first window on the Advent calendar is open. Here we go. The countdown begins right now here on Who's Views. Nice to see you all. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Wow, we have another big show for you here on headlines for you tonight, and we can't wait to hear what you think about all of this as ever in the show, because have you heard? Stephen Moffat's faith in Doctor Who has been tested this week. Believe it or not, Series 1 for Ncuti Gatwa could have been much worse than we actually got. And apparently, allegedly, Doctor Who is a huge success in the USA and other foreign markets. Really? We're going to be discussing that one here in the show as well. Can't wait, as I say, to hear what you think about it. I'm also looking forward to hearing what these two think about it, because as ever, here on Headlines, let's bring on Paul and Third Doctor Ian. Hello to you two.
Hello.
Happy 1st of December.
And to you.
I'm getting excited now. The tree will be out soon. Yes. The tree and the lights and the glistening. Oh, it's going to be fabulous, everybody. Yes, absolutely. As ever, I would like to say a huge thank you to everybody that's been getting in touch this week, and especially this week to Rodney Strickler, to Sean Cryer, to Barbara. Hello, Barbara. To Digby Strawbridge, to Gary Bryant, to John Mason, to Greg Sims, and to Baron French. Thank you all for getting in touch. Wow. Another week, actually. This is where everything's going to get, this month, it's going to get big now, because that Christmas episode is on the way, you know?
I'm so looking forward to it.
I can't contain myself with excitement and anticipation. It's although that could just be irritable bowel. I don't know.
To be crying twice in the same week after the War Games and then that, I don't know how I'm going to cope.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Whether you like it or not, everybody. Yeah. Nice to see you all in the chat as ever. It's wonderful. Leisure of James saying yes, happy first day of Advent, Who's viewers. We've got Bill saying to us, worse. That would have taken some talent to achieve that. And Adrian James is here to point out and cheer me up. The season 2 Blu-ray is out on standard edition tomorrow. It really is, and I can't wait for it. I'm so excited, I can't wait. And don't forget, everybody, we have done our season 2 overview over the last couple of weeks. Plus, of course, this week we looked at Dalek Invasion of the Earth on Who's Views Reviews. All available here on the channel for you.
I panicked there just for a minute, thinking it was season 2 as the new series, and I put it straight to video for a minute there, and I was really panicking.
No, this is proper Doctor Who. But actually, that wouldn't surprise me if they did. Oh, wicked. Rick Storm is with us saying Doctor Who is not a success in the USA at all. It's lies. I tell you lies. Did Starmer say that? Ooh, a little bit of politics. No, it wasn't. It's well, we'll come to it later on in the show. And Woodhouse 122 saying 25 days till Touching Grass Day. Again, yeah, we have to start all again. If it's going to be too cold out there for you, go and get one of those little false artificial grass ones. I'm sure Gatwa won't mind.
Maybe at Christmas you'll tell us to touch snow instead. And that's not a euphemism, I can assure you.
No.
We've got lots of things here, lots of people here. Lovely to see you all. Andy, Evening Gold said, Baron, hi, Baron. Good to hear. Thank you again for your email. And I will not be watching that tat, says Andy. Fair enough. We've got lots coming up for you this evening. So let's crack on. Hello to everybody. You're all in the chat. Keep your comments when we get into the discussions this evening to everybody, because I will try and keep up with you. But we're going to start this evening with this story here. Have you seen this? Yes, indeed. Ncuti Gatwa's first season as the alleged Doctor could have been much worse than we actually got.
How could that possibly be?
It's hard to believe, isn't it? That really. I mean, oh dear.
This is the question.
Dragging along the bottom, wasn't it? Anyway.
This
Could
is the
you
question,
scrape
I
any
think.
more? That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
But the majority of Being Fandom have been asking those very questions this week. But this was one. Now, this has come about because last weekend, on the 61st anniversary weekend, the BBC, in their wisdom, released some of the outtakes and script outtakes from what was Shooty Gatwa's first series, as we all know, written by RTD, overlooked by RTD, directed, theme tune all by RTD, blah, 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 blah. And yes, all by him. And have any of you actually looked at it? I looked at a couple and just thought, oh, no, I don't want to go any further. But the one that was the one that made the Radio Times this week. It was this one. Doctor Who script confirms musical scene was cut from Shooty Gatwa episode. Yes, a Sugar Babes song was supposed to feature in the season opener, Space Babies.
Oh, goody. That would have made it so much better.
Yeah. At least it was relevant and up to date. Ooh.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know, he's being sarky down there. He's being sarcastic because, of course, the Sugar Babes are not around anymore. And they went through, like the Doctor himself, they went through different incarnations every 20 minutes, didn't they? Bless them. That's what eventually killed them. I used to like the Sugar Babes back in the day, though. I liked some of their music. I really did. It was all dancey. I liked that. And yeah, and then they started to mess with it, and it became the name rather than the band. Remember? Such a thing.
I can't
Vaguely.
place them. I just see them as a they all mush into one, like the boy bands as well.
Yeah, well, were they a conglomerate made by Simon Cowell kind of thing, was it, or nothing like that?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't anything to do with that. They were actually an original band with three
Right.
girls that knew each other, and they got into the music industry. And the music industry basically, well, yeah, as the music industry does, treated them badly, and eventually, they all got kicked out. even the woman that created the band got kicked out eventually. And it just became a flop. But this was interesting that the Sugar Babes was supposed to be in Space Babies. Even the Sugar Babes wouldn't have saved the Space Babies, let's face it. But here's the story for you. Since Russell T Davies returned to Doctor Who for his second stint as showrunner, says RadioTimes.com, fans have been treated to some memorable musical moments. Oh, God.
Really?
From the yeah. Well, actually, Paul, yes, from the Goblin song in last year's Christmas special.
Well, that was my favourite, to be fair. Yeah.
To a song and dance number starring alleged person Jinx Monsoon, the drag queen, in The Devil's Board. But it turns out there was one planned music-heavy scene that didn't make it into season 14, despite initially being written into the script by RTD. You might remember that the rather divisive season opener, Space Babies, included a few references to Push the Button, the 2005 Sugar Babes hit. Does anybody remember that? Didn't think so, but let's crack on.
I still have to Google the Sugar Babes, to be honest. That's the problem. If I'm allowed to do that, I'm not going to shoot you if I am.
Outrageous. That is outrageous and unforgivable. We'll crack on. We've got this here. Well, it seems that the original plan for a scene set in the TARDIS to show Shooty Gatwa's 15th Doctor to dance and lip sing, I repeat, to dance and lip sing along to the song. Yes, just like William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton did back in the day. Fans have previously speculated this might have been the case, and with the BBC having recently shared the original script for the episode, we now know it to be true. The article continues. The moment would have occurred very early in the episode, with the relevant portion of the script on page 3 reading, "He whirs the Sonic at the jukebox. Click, needle slides over a vinyl, lowers, plays the Sugar Babes, push the button." It continues. The track starts with a bar, then says the word "push the button." The Doctor uses this to dance around a big button. Like, should he press it or not? I can't believe he's writing this. Like, should he press it or not? You're 61 years old, man. Get a grip. The song says it 4 times, and he loves it. Mouthing the words, playing with the button, and Ruby smiles. She loves this. And the 4th time, he presses the button. The whole world goes crazy. Huge applause. Wembley Stadium is filled. I added that bit. The time motor moves for room. The time motor moves. Room jolts. A moment of anti-gravity as the Doctor and Ruby rise upwards, then down. Ruby holds onto the console, alarmed, excited. The song jumps to the chorus. The Doctor in his element at the controls. The music. The chamber's moving lights. Ruby does not stop being amazed. So there you have it. It's not clear exactly why this moment was cut, but some Whovians, I hate that term, seem a little disappointed that it didn't make it into the episode, with Popular X, formerly Twitter, account Bad Wolf Archives posting "We were robbed" alongside an image of the script.
I think we dodged a bullet, and more importantly, I think, yeah.
We were robbed in 2017.
Yeah, well, it still comes out. This being cut literally makes the episode so much worse, another fan wrote in reply, because he says push the button so many times and it feels very strange, and it even sets up the entire climax. Meanwhile, a third fan wrote, I had a feeling there was a lot missing from this scene. It all seemed to cut together very quick, and now we know why. It says something, though, that I don't remember anything about it. What about you guys, and what about you in the chat?
Yeah, I don't remember at all much of that from Space Babies, apart from the funny mouths of the children like that. You know, apart from that, that's all I can remember from that.
A bogey monster and a machine powered by farts.
Oh, yes, yes.
I mean, they've used pop music to use that vernacular in Doctor Who before, in modern Who, like Soft Cell and Britney Spears and Scissor Sisters and stuff like that. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think this would have just been a bit too much, don't you think?
Oh, totally.
He's just playing the same old tropes, isn't he, though? I mean,
yeah.
You're right. Britney Spears was in the second episode, wasn't End of the World?
Yeah.
And it sort of fitted in there to an extent, and that was fine. I didn't have a problem with that. But this is just going over us. The big button, that was a huge thing in Tennant's Christmas episode, wasn't it? A big red button.
Oh, right. Yes, of course. Yeah.
You can just see that in Genesis now, can't you? With a big red Total Destruct button. But Davros playing on his headphones, that'd be worked really well, don't you think?
Yeah, Davros would be dancing around the button, because obviously he's not in a wheelchair, because we can't do that. That's problematic. But yeah, he would be dancing around the red button, threatening to destroy the Daleks before they shot him.
Yeah.
I just don't think that this. I mean, I can't remember the episode. So I don't think this would be. All I can think of from that description is basically the viewing public, who we know didn't really come, just having another thing to go about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What expecting Doctor Who and getting a sort of top of the pops. I mean, I don't think it adds anything. I still want to ask you all in the chat. I'm going to come to you in a second, but Simon L saying hello, everyone. Well, hello. I just don't get it. I mean, what's he doing? Where's his writing ability? I've said it before, haven't I? He can't write anymore. He really can't write anymore.
He's lost it. It's a parody now, and it's a race to the bottom. And you'd have thought he'd already hit the bottom, but I think Series 2 is going to show us that he hadn't quite. And but he probably will.
But like you were saying, he's rehashing the tropes and trends that he thinks were successful and just doing it all again. You know?
Yeah.
But we're saying to us, I'm sure the Sugar Babes were on Strictly last week. I wouldn't know. I don't know. But which version? Have they tried to bring them back? What was the record? As far as I know,
that Fred we're getting down with the kids there? Just checking.
Listen, the kids don't watch Strictly. In fact, the older people that Strictly was made for don't watch Strictly.
Don't watch it. Yeah.
In fact, I'll tell you, everybody. Oh, this very week, I met a professional group. I say professional, but one of these big ballroom dance clubs that meet and they go around the place, right? And I met a couple of members of this, and they were looking for venues and stuff, and they were lovely. And we got talking about dance and all this sort of stuff, blah, 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 blah. And Strictly came up, and I said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't watch it anymore because, I just don't like the whole way they've changed it and made it absolutely DEI nonsensical. And as a gay man, I don't believe that same-sex couples should be dancing on the ballroom. Call me old-fashioned. I just don't. It's man, woman, because that's the elegance. It's the poise. It's the style. I love that for the ballroom. And they turned around and said, well, we don't watch it anymore anyway. And it was quite hushed, as though they were feeling guilty about it. They said, none of us do. So you've lost your audience and everything. But even the ballroom fans aren't watching Strictly Come Dancing now. So who's it for? Let's go and see what you're saying. I'll get off my soapbox on that one. Yes, coming soon to Who's Views, reviews of Strictly Come Dancing. It'll be very short show. Crap. Next. Why doesn't RTD, says Paul Rose. Right, that's 2 on the pullometer. Yes, why doesn't RTD just go full on with a stage show called the Doctor Horror Who Show? Don't give him ideas. We know he watches, so I don't know. Kirsty's answering Bedweir here. Apparently, the OG3 are back as Sugar Babes. The OG3. I don't know who
The
they
original 3. That's
the original.
kids speak for that. Yeah.
That's interesting
kids
then, isn't it? Because there was a copyright claim over the Sugar Babes where it was actually who was it? I can't remember. It was one of them that came up with the name, wasn't it, Kirst? And the BBC, the music industry rather tried to stop them using it, saying, "Oh no, it's ours now." So hopefully she got it
It's
back.
like Bucks Fizz all over again, isn't it? That's what it's like.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Isn't it a bit like that story with the I can't remember where it's from, the broom, where you have a broom and then the end is replaced.
Trigger story.
After a while, the stick breaks, so that's replaced, and then the bristles are replaced and the stick's replaced eventually. Is it the same broom?
Yeah.
It's not, is it?
It's not, is it? No, but thank God for Bananarama. It was still the same two. I really love Bananarama. Hello to the girls if they're watching. I love you. Andy Gladhill is saying to us, apparently the Christmas special is now a, quote, Disney Plus original Christmas special. Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that on Andy. Andy got in touch earlier today to say, have you seen this? I have seen that because the poster, of course, for Disney Plus for The Joy to the World is branded as an original Christmas special. But from my point of view, they're allowed to do that because they've paid for the bloody thing. So I think they're allowed to do that.
Serves them right. That's what I say.
Exactly. That's the third pull now on the pullometer. Paul Stenterford is with us saying the Sugar Babes in Doctor Who. Good grief, give me strength. Domgo is asking us, I wonder if RTD can tone down the gayness for season 2. No, because it's already in the can, isn't it?
Way too late, yeah.
They've turned up full blast, I think, now, I'd imagine. Yeah.
It's on 11, I think.
Yeah.
I would also say, from my point of view, it's not actually nearly gay. It's all Q, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all the TQ cult from my point of view. Thank you, Digby. It's lovely to see you. Digby's joining us and he's given us a super chat. Hope you are well, mate. Nice to see you. Can the button cancel the show now?
If only.
We as I said last week, I can't believe that we're all sort of, well, a lot of us are saying, oh, please, just get it off the air now. But yeah, it's a matter of time, in my opinion, Digby. It really is. Nice to see you. Hope you're well. Thank you for that. Paul Rose is saying, didn't watch, probably never will. And yes, shame they didn't write all the music out, says Andrew Dexter.
Well, you were saying that even the Sugar Babes couldn't save that episode. The Beatles couldn't save The Devil's Chord, could it? Let's be honest.
No. And we know it's building and building to this episode he wants to do, is where they're just singing all the way through it.
Yeah.
It wants to turn it into a proper sort of musical stuff. And I bet you by now he's gone to see Wicked and he's been absolutely entranced by that. And he's all like, oh, it's got to be like this and it's got to be like this. Oh, I'm sure.
And that'll be series 3, which we're definitely probably
a whole 2 episodes of a series linked before they all get kicked off. Mudcrab, how to see, nice to see it. Grown, where's the Sonic? Wow, why don't you have a perception filter around the timey-wimey as well? And Rick is saying to us, this sounds awful. It does, doesn't it? Baron French, pass the bucket. Pass the bucket. Let's see what he did there. Legion of James is saying, could it be worse? Well, I can anticipate what is coming next year will definitely be worse. It's inevitable, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it really is. They can use music, and it works fine. It can be used and come in subtly. I think back to the TV movie right at the very start, and you've got McCoy sat there in the wonderful console room, and it was gorgeous, wasn't it? And he's got his record player on, playing that lady singing, and it was a really nice, pleasant, catchy background tune. It wasn't over loud. It didn't detract from the story. And then it went right through to the end, didn't it? Because then the McGann Doctor was playing it as he...
It's like he's only got one LP,
yes.
though. That's the thing.
But he was reading the same book as well, so, continuity.
The thing with it, though, is that's why that jukebox thing was put there, wasn't it? To make this one a disco doctor. Really, and it's not being used because they edited this scene out. Really, it doesn't sound proper in that sense, and it's not. I mean, it's just been there for something, to have a gimmick. This is taking the extremes of the cat badge, the celery, and the scarf to an extreme. This is his gimmick. He couldn't wear it, so he's blooming got it in the console room. It's just it's ridiculous from my point of view, and this whole scene. I mean, you can see from these bits that were taken out. can see how bad it really was. So we actually did get the best of the bad writing. Bad, right? And this is RTD that everybody's been saying is the best writer since sliced bread. Not anymore. He really has lost the ability. Go on, Paul.
I was going to say, I still think it feels like it's written by AI because it's so bad, you know. But that's just me. But
he just doesn't seem to be able to write.
With the wrong prompts.
yes, yeah. Because remember they were talking about BBC using AI. I know it's for imagery, for publicity and stuff, but it wouldn't surprise me if they put a Doctor Who story into an AI device or whatever and made it produce something, and that's what they came up with, you know. But
it might produce it better. You never know.
Probably,
I mean, you look at what's in that overly large console room, because it is ridiculously large, pointlessly large.
Yeah.
And you just hark back to the days of a Shay Long, a hat stand, and an Ormolu clock, don't you?
Which worked for years, didn't it? And which people recognised.
I think the jukebox looks quite good in there, but there's nothing else. It's like sparse.
I don't know. I think it stands out like you know, it could be the Master's TARDIS for all I know.
It could be, yeah. Imagine that.
It's just daft. I'm not letting him near my button, says Smiley people.
Especially considering the number of times he was playing with it.
Yeah.
As it built to a climax.
I don't remember it at all. I really don't remember anything to do with the episode, apart from it being incredibly unimpressive. So we missed a big button and a Doso TARDIS, thank heaven for small mercies. A disco TARDIS, says Stephen Brown, thank heaven for small mercies. Exactly, because it just would have been ridiculous.
Well, that's where the lights change as well, isn't it? It's about like a disco TARDIS.
Disco TARDIS. Yeah. RTD is really good at pushing Doctor Who fans' buttons, and he knows it, doesn't he? And he's still doing it. So, John, you know, really, really was. Amarai is with us. We were robbed. Oh, how nice they let them watch Doctor Who in the mental asylum. I'll bring them back, I say. Oh, goodness. And Time Lord Victorious is asking us, gosh, someone explain how this is Doctor Who, a science fiction adventure show. Exactly, Time Lord Victorious. How is that? I don't understand it. They've forgotten that, and he's forgotten that, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Really is ridiculous. Sean Cry saying it never works for me. It just brings the whole thing down. And yeah, you're right, John. It's instantly forgettable. As I say,
Shooty Who? Sorry.
Yeah.
I've just been watching this last week. I've been watching the Invasion of Time. You know, from right in the middle of the Graham Williams era, where Doctor Who really wasn't supposed to be taking itself too seriously, and Tom Baker was allegedly going off the rails and being allowed to do whatever he wanted. And it's sharp, witty, funny, exciting. It has one of the best cliffhangers ever with the appearance of the Sontarans. You never saw that coming. Always brings a thrill.
And Dudley's fantastic score on that as well.
Oh, God. Yeah. And that was when Doctor Who was supposed to be lighthearted and not taking itself seriously. And then we have this. It's like high drama compared to this. It really is.
The thing is, you know, when you were talking about the music that was taken into Doctor Who, the television movie with McGann, that's when it was being taken seriously. That's when it was being done with love and care by people that were desperately trying to make the thing work. So that was in the context of the story. You can actually believe that at occasions the Doctor would put a gramophone on. It has to be a gramophone, possibly something from the 60s or 70s maybe as well, because he's picked it up in his travels to play his records. And he wouldn't have a vinyl, you know. That's the character, isn't it? It would be antiquated.
There's also a nice continuation of McCoy liking jazz and Silver Nemesis. That was quite a nice little touch as well.
Yeah. I mean, the Doctor appreciates music, and music, as we know, is mathematical. Yeah. So it does sort of make sense that the Doctor would like music as an alien. But yeah, in that even in the first one of Russell's first run, the second one was at the End of the World, where the Toxic was played by Britney Spears.
Yeah. That
didn't jar with me at all. This would have done, and I love the Sugar Babes. So it's nothing to do with them, but it would have done. It would have jarred, you know, because the scene was bad enough. Philip's with us, Paul. Philip Roy's with us, saying, "I don't remember the button bit, but then I did have my head in my hands."
I was going to say, you unlike Ian and I, you didn't see the last Jodie episode because they did another master piece of music with Rasputin with Boney M, which is bloody awful, honestly.
Oh, so that was basically a takeoff of that awful scene in the third season of Doctor Who.
Exactly, another version of that. Yeah.
Only this time
he rewrote that.
you had a Cyberman and a Dalek stood in the room just watching him, and they just turned to look at each other and then
And
just
kind of
looked
roll
back.
their eyes, kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was utter
really naff.
bilge.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Julianne's with us saying, I don't know. I've expunged the whole thing from my mind to save my sanity. You have to, Julianne, don't you? I know what you mean, because I have as well, obviously. And Domgo also saying it's actually to Doctor Who's credit that it's still a thing, even after being mercilessly abused by RTD for over a year. But that's a great point, because is it still a thing, though? Is Doctor Who? I can tell you, it's not really. How many people, I'm really looking forward to seeing how many people will tune in live on Christmas evening or Christmas afternoon, whenever it's going to be shown, to watch Doctor Who. I think we're going to see record numbers for something like the Wallace and Gromit film, and then I think they'll all go off and play with whatever they've got for Christmas. I don't think they're going to hang around for Doctor Who.
Well, you've probably seen there's quite a large amount of Christmas special to different shows coming on Christmas. So I imagine they'll do so much better than Who.
Well, I can certainly think
Christmas special for One, which was a big show about 10, 15 years ago, and the kids have grown up.
True.
Gavin and Stacey are doing another return episode. This might be the last one again, like Only Fools and Horses.
Well, some people are excited about that one. Personally, I'm not. I'm not going to watch it because I think, having seen some of it recently on one of the repeat channels, I thought, ooh, this is of its day. This was funny at the time, but it is of its day. It went on a little bit too long for me, but I thought this is of its day. What if they're bringing it back now in the current climate where they can't have that humor? It's not going to work. It's not going to be the same. It'll be interesting to see. We've got here as well Forbidden Man saying to us, it was such a great show, we tossed it in the bin. Well, we didn't, did we, mate? They did. They absolutely did. They were so busy chasing this mythical audience that they want, this new modern audience that the BBC is so desperate to have because it's been reading too many reports. You know, they threw it in the bin. They put it on the altar, sacrificed it, then threw it in the bin, didn't they? Basically.
Yeah. Scrunched it up and then chucked it in the bin. Yeah.
And it hurts. It really, really hurts because it could have been huge again, but they didn't want it to be huge, obviously. RTG has no new ideas this time, Lord Victorious, reusing old ideas and making them worse with a nice added sprinkle of wokeness and campness, I would add to that as well. What do you think, guys?
I think our sprinkles, putting it politely, and it's a large dode, shall we say, of wokeness.
In fairness to him, and I really don't want to be fair to him because he hasn't been fair to us, but in fairness to him, he's only doing what Moffat also did. And, you know, you look at, do you remember when those posters would come out at the end of a story or for stories and everything, or at the end of a season? And there was a Matt Smith one, and he's standing there holding a Cyberman's head. And then there's the same for Capaldi, where he's standing there holding a Cyberman's head. You know, it was just repeating the same old things over and over because they're completely bereft of ideas. Because they don't want to have, like it used to be in the classic days, where every story that you saw was pretty much written by somebody different.
Yeah.
And they don't want that. That it has to be them. It has to be them or people that they can control. And the risk being, of course, as we saw when it first came back, all the really good, memorable episodes were not written by Russell T Davies.
Yeah. Yeah. But as we reported either last week or the week before here on Headlines, he is working on bringing other authors in, isn't he? So we can hit the DEI button. So please do expect people that hit those boxes, you know, that's all he's going to bring in, because he's also said, he's gone on record saying, why would he want to give away episodes when that's his lifeline? That's his money. He gets paid for each episode that he writes. So why would he give away when you've only got 8? When you had 13 weeks, it was easier to share out the responsibilities, wasn't it?
But he's not show running for free, is he? He's still getting paid for that as well, as I imagine.
Oh yeah, it's more, isn't it? It's more. You know, he gets paid for everything.
Greedy,
Yeah, he gets paid for all of that. So I mean, I'm sure he's getting paid handsomely as well. The Jaguar Car Company, says Raymond Williams, made a DEI advert with no cars in it. Doctor Who is a show with no doctor in it.
Good point.
Absolutely does. And here's
Have you
another
seen
one.
the version of the advert where the Jaguar runs back in and savages them all?
Yes, that's from with AI as well, isn't it? Yeah. Absolutely brilliant, that one. This is another one I don't remember. So thanks to Bill Lowry for saying Mummy on the Orient Express brought Queen in very well. Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one?
It had a girl singing it. It was her take on, was it? I can't remember which one it was. Was it Don't Stop Me Now? I can't remember.
Yes, it was Don't Stop Me Now. Yeah.
But it was a very slow,
jazzy version of it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
A little bit?
it was all right, to be fair.
Yeah,
I
nice.
don't-
Liked
But it was in the setting of a very luxurious vehicle which would have onboard entertainment, so it was in context in a way. It wasn't like do you remember sometimes you would have a musical interlude in a program, which sometimes would take you out of it completely. It wasn't anything like that. It was in context.
Right. You see, they've done it. It has to be in context. They also did it with The Runaway Bride because it was a wedding, and there was a band there singing a song. Do you remember?
And that was
so
a song by the guy from Divine Comedy, Neil Hannon, wasn't it? That
exactly. And I think also in Voyage of the Dam there was a band.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Because Murray Gold made an on-camera appearance, didn't he, in that particular one? So if it's in context, it works. But this was just put in there for, I reckon personally, for the reasons of being, oh, let's show how camp we can go. Let's show how light we can go. Let's show how this Doctor is one of these sort of characters here. He's going to be the disco Doctor. I don't think
Russell's seen Time in the Rani. You can't top that, surely. For campness.
Well, I think he did. I think Time in the Rani is incredibly superior to anything I watched in 2020.
No, I'm just teasing you.
Well, yeah, I'd rather watch Time in the Rani any day. Everybody now. Yeah, I wish Pip and Jane were here so I could get in touch and say I'd rather watch your show, Time in the Rani, than anything else. Anyway,
I wish they were here just so they could point the finger at Chibnall and laugh.
Oh yes,
they would.
Nice.
Yeah, and they would as well.
They deserve that.
That would have been fun. Hiya to the Thinking. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Can we, as viewers, have an eject and reject button? Wouldn't that be fab? Wouldn't that be fabulous?
Like Vengeance on Varos kind of thing. That's
yeah. No, we don't like him. Off.
Yeah.
Time Lord Victorious is also saying to us, the problem is the view that Doctor Who can be anything. It should and can be a musical one episode. Something that doesn't have identity gives people no reason to watch. What is unique about Doctor Who now? Well, nothing. Yeah. And I think you're right, actually. I think I've said this before, in the fact that there is this myth that Doctor Who can be anything. All the formats are flexible, all the formats. It's not, actually. And over the last, 6-7 years, you've actually proved how inflexible the format is, because you changed his gender, you've done all this wokeness within it, you've done this, you've done that, you've done this, you've tried to do this episode, you turn part of it into a musical. It didn't work, and it's been hugely rejected. And these people are not looking at the real answer of this, because we're all the ones in the wrong and they know better. All the usual nonsense from them, it's ridiculous, isn't it? And they're not learning, obviously.
Well, it always fails, doesn't it? And this is failing, and it will continue to fail because they aren't able to learn the lessons. And like you've said many times, it's in the can and has been in the can for about a year now. So it's way too late for them to turn that tank around.
Unless they start editing and pruning it in, and then we'll get, and now here's your 20-minute episode of Doctor Who. Let's see how that one goes down. Honestly, if you haven't, again, I'm going to go back to that whole thing about why they've done the War Games and the Daleks in colour at 90 minutes. The attention span, allegedly, of these people who are devoted to the show. How can they watch an hour then of this nonsense?
Oh, look, there's a squirrel. Sorry, that's I'm not attention span either.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't get it. They can watch 8 hours of something ridiculous with no substance, and yet they can't. Oh, I don't know. David Mackay, it's nice to see you, David. Thank you, and welcome to Who's Views. A lot of New Who can be compared to the style of Buffy. RTD wants to do a Once More with Feeling type episode. It worked in Buffy, but it's not suitable for Doctor Who. Well, of course, because they're two different shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. This one, Buffy was not about a time traveler in time and space, was it? It was about a young woman that was dealing with various demons, some of whom came from mythology and stuff like that. So of course you can get away with something like that, and it worked tremendously because it was the first one. But everybody else has done it since then, over all these 30-40 years. It's absolutely nonsensical. The recent Star Trek one was massively rejected by what's left of the Star Trek fan base, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And when you see a clip of a Klingon suddenly bursting into song, that's when you really want to switch it off.
And like you're saying, it's been done. It's been done, Yeah,
it's funny with Star Trek, though, isn't it? Because they had Discovery, which was, again, it seemed to be like a different timeline because the Klingons were entirely different and remodeled, and their history was all redone, I think. But it was all very much in the vein of Shooty. There was a lot of crying in each episode and a lot of emoting and everything, and it died on its arse. It's still dragged out for 6 series, but it died on its arse. And this new one, Strange New Worlds, some of it's been okay, but they could not resist the musical episode with singing Klingons.
And I wish they had. I wish they had, because
Yeah.
that took me out. I quite liked the first one, thinking, okay, this is different. There were some episodes I thought, oh, like the one where they all went into a fairy tale element.
Yeah.
I just
But the
thought
Next
that's
Generation did that, didn't they? Next
I think they've
Generation
all
did
done that.
You.
Yeah. It was obviously the standard episode where you just thought, we've got the sets, what can we do with it? Because we've got no budget. Anyway, it's all ridiculous. But we do know that RTT was watching all this stuff as well. So he's obviously been influenced. So going back to that point there, Doctor Who used to lead the way. It used to lead the way, and now it doesn't. Now it follows everybody else, and it's such a shame. I really, really regret that Doctor Who has lost that edge. As you say, Ian, you know, I really believe what you were saying there. The different writers made it have that edge because they all brought these elements to it. So to cut it down to 8 hours just simply because that's how TV is now is a massive mistake for Doctor Who. You've got to have that full run of 13 45-minute episodes or 24, 26, 25-minute episodes to be that fresh, to be that ahead of the game, to be innovative, and to get everybody back, including the Americans, following you. You know,
they've got enough airtime to make an impact, don't they? Because it's such a short run of episodes. You know, when Doctor was on the 60s, it ran almost every week. You know, and it made a huge impact. You know, it's like they've no idea at all about. I mean, Shooty's been in it for 5 minutes, hasn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah. And you know, and it's just because that's how TV's made now. Well, break the mold. You are in television. Break the mold, like you did the first time, right? It's just ridiculous. G35 is saying the series is now an embarrassing parody of itself. And Heretic is with us. Heretic OSJC. WhoTubers on Twitter are saying Doctor Who isn't being cancelled because the BBC is saying it's made the most money around the world. But £10 when nothing else sells is still the highest selling show. Stay with us on that one, Heretic. We're going to be talking about that in this very show. So stay with us. Ian, you were going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, with the shorter episodes, you'd think that the 25-minute episodes are more appealing to the generation that can't think more than 5 seconds ahead or remember anything or pay attention. It's not stressing them as much, is it? Because they're not having to focus for 45 or 50 minutes. But they do miss that essential cliffhanger. It's the one part of Doctor Who, really, that's never properly come back. That gripping thing that makes you think, I cannot wait until next week. I mean, I know we can wait until next week with this shower and would quite happily wait a lot longer. But in proper Who, you live for the cliffhanger. You know, it was, you knew when it was building, didn't you? You knew when it was coming.
Oh, yeah.
So it was wonderful stuff. And Deadly Assassin, you know, the Doctor's been held under the water. I know Mary Whitehouse suggested that everybody was traumatized. No, you weren't. You were just really
excited. You were excited. But that was the whole thing about the cliffhangers, because the cliffhangers ensured you would come back for the next episode. Even when it moved for Davison to twice a week, you came back for the next episode. And more importantly, so did the British public, because it was getting set anywhere between 7 and 9 million. You know, when it was on twice a week, that was huge. That was massively successful. That, you know,
the bizarre thing about Disney's model, about Disney's model about doing 8 episodes. When they did The Mandalorian, they didn't have a fixed length of episode. They did different lengths. So there's something to do a 25-minute episode or 35-minute episode. So why they can't play about with it and spread it further, I don't understand. They
can, they just won't. And because they've been budgeted, so basically we know that Disney gave them, let's face it, I would say, allegedly, the bulk of the money to make this thing, right? So they've taken that, they've put it in. So what they've said is, we've got this money, so let's make at least 2 series and a spin-off, right? Why bother? Why didn't they just say, right, okay, can we actually play around with this and get 2 series of 10 episodes maybe, rather than the spin-off, which not many people are interested in, let's face it, and which, from what we've seen from the pictures, looks awful at the moment. And obviously I can't judge it, but I probably have. Kirsty's saying to us there, had more fun watching Time Lash for Wednesday's show than Space Fecking Babies. Yes, that's right. We are going to be looking at Time Lash.
That's gone too far, Kirsty, I think. Really,
no, I don't think it is. And I was going to bring this up. I agree with Kirsty. I watched Time Lash earlier today as well, just to remind me, because we are reviewing it here on the channel on Wednesday, live at 8 UK time. And I just thought I'd watch this any day rather than anything like Space Babies or The Devil's Board or anything like that. Daniel's with us. Hello, Daniel Raven. How are you? Nice to see you. So typical of RTD. Let's have a jukebox. It'll be great. Without any clear idea of what he's going to do with it. Just like let's have it start snowing in every episode. It'll be great. He's right, isn't he? That's a great point. It is. It's always with RTD. We now know him enough to be able to say it is always going to be about the visual or the message or something like that, and then I'll base a story around it. I'll fit that in somewhere. Oh, I'll do this episode with this. Oh, I'll manage it. I'll manage it. Oh, I want a musical. I'll manage it. I'll manage it.
Yeah, that snowing idea was a lovely idea, and worked before he didn't explain it, because it was quite intriguing, I thought, and then he never explained it ever, which is bizarre, and he never will.
Well, there was loads he didn't explain in that whole series, it wasn't there? I mean, it just got so boring from the Church on Ruby Road to the last one. What was the last one? The Empire of Death.
Yeah.
There were so many questions. Oh, don't worry about it. They say it's going to be answered in series 2. How many people will go back to series 2? We will soon find out, won't we? Because it's on in just a matter of we're at December now, 2024, as we're broadcasting live to you. We've got one coming in the next few weeks, and then we will be back in May with the next series. April, May. So we'll be back with that. Let's see how it all works out for them, shall we? The world has changed. Derek Hart, love that little picture you've got there. Wonder if season 3 does come. Will they sack RTD and get a new showrunner? Probably not, because they're just so arrogant. What do you guys think?
No, I think he'll stay there to the bitter end, I think.
Which we're in.
They're right about everything. They do only what they want to do, and everybody else is wrong. They aren't going to change anything.
Yeah, the trouble is they don't see it as the bitter end. I don't think that's the problem. You know?
No, they don't, and I think that because they're totally ignorant, aren't they? They're going to get shocks if the Doctor Who ratings slip below the 1 million this year. Yeah. And then they're going to be saying, oh, but the iPlayer has 90 billion people watching it and downloading it. Blah, 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 darling. Oh, no, it's fabulous. Everything's marvelous. Really? I honestly don't know how Doctor Who fans can watch this stuff, says Domgo. Well, to be quite honest, they don't, because a hell of a lot of Doctor Who fans have now left the series. They have gone. It's, we know this from people that we know and that get in touch with us here at Who's Views. They're not watching the new stuff because it doesn't count. It's not for them. They'll go and watch the original stuff. But not this stuff. And do you know, we were told several times, go and touch grass. You're not wanted. You're not needed. So, but from our point of view, we watch it because it gives us great content, because it's just so dire. It really is awful, isn't it? It really is. And Raymond Williams says, Doctor Who is still making money, but how much more would they make if it was good? They lost thousands of the sales on the bad edit of the Daleks in colour. History will probably repeat itself. I actually think history is repeating itself right now, Raymond. I think this is the new 1989 that we're in.
Yeah.
The parallels are very, 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 very noticeable for those of us that were there in 89. Except the only difference that this time round is, instead of the BBC saying, no, we're taking this off, the fans are saying, please, BBC, take this off. Please take it off, because it's shocking. What's this from Andrew Dexter? I agree with you, JT. He seems to have lost his original ideas. It's all copying or using other scripts, as in the 2 old episodes. Looks like he's butchered in trying to make them relevant. Yeah. I honestly don't know what his problem is. At this point, I just do want to say hello to Kirsty and Garbage, who are in the chat, making sure that everybody is fine and having a la time. So thank you to those two. Always good to see them there. So thank you. And looking forward to hearing what Kirsty thought of Time Lash this Wednesday. Paul Stanford is saying to us, a quick question. Do you believe that RTD gets some kind of perverse pleasure by crowbarring his identity politics into a much-loved show, which is also a British institution? Good God, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. Like Chibnall, I'll just take this huge show that's massively popular and fill it with my agendas and my politics and things that I agree with, and try and brainwash not just the nation but the world. It's not worked out that way, has it really? For some of the impressionable, unresearched people who read stupid things from like Pink News and all that nonsense, possibly. But the rest of us that are grown up and are able to do research of our own and actually look at truth, well, we can see the nonsense coming from him from a mile off. And as a character on a Scottish show used to do, Paul, you'll remember this. Shite.
Yes, indeed, yes. Karen Dunbar, yes.
Karen Dunbar, God love her. Hope she's well. I haven't seen her in generations. Hope you are well, Karen. Yes, so there we go. But yes, that's the answer to that one. Paul Rose, we're going from one Paul to another Paul to another Paul. I think I just had a waking nightmare. Imagine if they had the Daleks come back with their entrance to Doctor in the TARDIS playing. I've told you, stop giving him ideas. He watches the show. He's going to go and clear that now, pay the KLF a fortune and do it, isn't he?
Yeah.
You can see it, can't you? Instead of the resurrection of the Daleks thing where they burst open into the ship, it'll burst open into the... then we'll go,
Well, hopefully it will be a nightmare, and Capaldi will wake up and realize it's all a nightmare the past 7 years. That'd be lovely.
oh, just get
That would
rid
be
of
brilliant, wouldn't it?
Would be
hope-
great.
Oh, is there? Oh, look at this from Time Lord Victorious. I knew about Gavin and Stacey, but I didn't know about Outnumbers.
Numbers, yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you said before, Paul?
Yeah, and they've brought, obviously the kids have grown up in it now, so they're doing obviously it's an up-to-date version of it now. So
Yeah. Oh well, I might watch that one because I saw bits of that in the last year on the repeat channels. I thought this is
because
quite
some of that was improvised, wasn't it, when you did it?
Yeah,
which,
it was.
Quite makes it
Was it?
spontaneous and funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as I said that, I've just realised that those kids won't be kids now, will they? Because that was done.
Exactly,
oh my
yeah.
god,
Yeah.
they'll all be adult. Oh my goodness. I take it they're all in it. Oh, that'd be quite fun to watch. But thank you for that, Time Lord Victorious. And a super chat. Thank you very much for your super chat. Mark Greaves is with us. I remember an outtake on Genesis with Tom Baker holding the wires and looking at the camera, starts to lip sync to the air tonight. Well, good taste there, I think, from Mr. Baker as well. That's brilliant, but again, that's fine because it's an outtake, isn't it? But this was in the script. This was all this stuff. I wouldn't even recommend going to look at them because you might get tense. Because I looked at some of them to see if there was any content in it for this show and thought, oh, let's just forget this bit. We'll look at one of them only because they are all ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
And not very exciting either, to be honest.
No, not really. And it just didn't add anything. And this shows really when a good script editor, she should be there because a good script editor got rid of those points, but then should have gone back and said, can you rewrite the whole series again, please? Because it doesn't really gel.
It's really weird, though, because if you compare the current era to, say, season 25, there's lots of extended footage on that box set. And that's far more exciting than any of these outtakes we got for Doctor Who Day, you know?
Mm.
And again, it's only a minority that are very interested in the, oh my God, it should have been in the show. That would just be brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, get a grip, for heaven's sake. You got a load of nonsense. What more did you want? Yes, so thank you for that, Stephen Braddock. My friend at work said, and I quote, I'm going out on Christmas Day. There's nothing on after Wallace and Gromit, only Doctor Who. Yes. Has that been confirmed? Doctor Who is now on after Wallace and Gromit?
That I couldn't tell you yet. I don't know yet.
Yeah. We'll be
They
talking
wouldn't
about
put it on before because they know there'd be virtually zero lead-in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the first 10 minutes of Doctor Who will be really high, then I'll like that,
And now they've
people realise they've left it on.
Now they've got rid of the Christmas Day Top of the Pops as well.
Yeah.
Well, hello to YW2324. Hi all, long time no see. How you all doing? Well, we're all right. We are currently here on Who's Views preparing for the inevitable Doctor Who with Bethel, which is on the way and which we're all so excited about.
Whoopie-doo.
Oh, yeah. But at least it's content. I keep saying that to myself. At least it's content. We can all come back together and we can all moan about it. Hey, guess what? It might actually be good.
If it is, we'll acknowledge that, won't we? And be fair about
it.
it.
We will, yes, we will. Don't get your hopes up, for goodness sake.
We will.
I've got a feeling that it's going to be a bit like, you've got a stomachache, you're going to have a bad dose of diarrhea. There's nothing you can do about it. It's coming. You can't avoid it. And you've just got to see
just with the toilet roll in the fridge. That's the best thing to do, I think.
Well, I mean, it's Christmas Day, isn't it? And, some people might actually be unconscious by the time Doctor Who comes on. It depends if they've left the telly on BBC One, because that's where they get the reaching from, isn't it? Andy Gledhill is saying, been watching my Blake 7 Blu-rays, far superior to current Doctor Who. Great Blu-ray set as well. It's absolutely gorgeous. Very similar to the Doctor Who ones, obviously, but absolutely gorgeous. It is so lovely, as ever, to see you all joining us here in the chat for Who's Views Headlines. Thank you. Mark Jones is also with us. I had a debate with a fan. I love it when we go, fan, who said the Doctor was always gay. What? What? That person is a fan. Obviously, been watching since Jodie Whittaker. How can this is? Oh God, this really annoys me.
Ian, don't read this, Bobby. Don't read this. Don't read this. You'll have a stroke. Don't do that.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I had a debate with a fan who said the Doctor was always. Of course, he bloody wasn't. He's a bloody alien. Absolutely an alien. So the Doctor was okay. First had a crush on Stephen. Second had a gay relationship with Jamie. 3 in the Brigadier. 4 and 5 with that. This is absolute nonsense. Give me that fan's name and address. Let's get them sorted on the show. Let's invite them here. It's ridiculous. Well done, you, Mark, for telling him. This person, you are talking nonsense. We've got here Komodo. Sci-fi has rules. They've turned it into a fantasy soap. Yes, Gore Vidal Davies via Doctor Who is perpetuating stereotypes about gay men for a straight audience, and Gatwa is embracing it, even allowing for himself to be sexualized in images. Don't they see this? No, they don't. They don't, because they've gone backwards rather than forwards, haven't they? And I know exactly what you're saying there. I'm absolutely repulsed by some of the images I see, and just think, why did we bother? Why did we really bother to do all that hard work we did? Because they've just all thrown it all down the toilet. And it's because that, as I say, in my opinion, they are not LGB, they're TQ. And they can't even use the word same-sex relationships or same-sex attracted or gay, because it implies what they would call a phobia. Do you know what I'm saying, everybody?
I'm still racking my brains trying to find a moment where the Brigadier may have gone for the Doctor at a unit party or something at Christmas. I'm trying to think of something, but I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just absolute top level grade A fan wankery. I'm sorry. It's just there was none of that. I mean, the Brigadier, he only had eyes for Doris.
Yeah.
The end. Because that's the narrative of the episodes right the way through to Battlefield. That was it.
It's absolute nonsense that a whole load of young fans who, obviously, this is why I don't like this version of Doctor Who, because they haven't even bothered to go and look at the 63 to 89. So why bother colorizing our Doctor Who for an ungrateful audience that thinks the Doctor's gay? How ridiculous. And I've just brought it back at this point. I've said it before. I remember in 2003 when a reporter said to RTD, when it was announced he was bringing the show back, "Are you going to make the Doctor gay?" from this tabloid journalist. And of course, RTD turned around and basically said, "What a stupid thing to say. Of course I'm not going to make him gay. Of course he's not gay. He's an alien." All the things that we say now. Has he forgotten that? Yes, he bloody has, because that's where he is right now. He's in that zone. It's absolute nonsense. But well done, Mark, for standing up. I'm just telling them, God, these people drive me insane. They drive me insane. Mudcrab, thank you so much for your super chat. Really appreciate that. Someone should get the rights to queer as folk, hire the OG actors, but have them all hetero-married kids, then tell RTD tough when he complains.
Yeah.
Well, he did sell the rights to America, didn't he? To the guy that directed Batman Returns, Joel Schumacher.
Joel Schumacher, yeah.
And he was the one that was responsible for bringing in the first version of Queer as Folk into American television. It was dreadful. Those first 2 series were absolutely awful, because all they did was take the RTD scripts and repeat them with a few extra embellishments, and it didn't really work. When it found its own thing and got rid of the RTD stuff, it was far better, and it was its own thing. But of course, that's the thing that sort of set off this whole thing of, the Q word is now acceptable in America. In my opinion, that's where this has come from. Because the Americans don't realize the play on words, because it's a British title. It's a British saying. So the play on words there, it's got nothing to do with LGBTQI, BBC, ITV, Channel 4, whichever acronym they want to add today, agendas. It's got nothing to do with that. It's a British phrase, which means there's nothing as queer as folk, i.e. strange and weird. That's the play on words. They don't get our humour. And they certainly didn't get it through that television show. It's such a shame.
There was a scene in the Full Monty film, wasn't there? Where is that? Where they caught the ginger guy trying to commit suicide in his car with the hose. And I think it was then. It's a long time ago. But one of the characters, I think it might have been Mark Addy's character, said to one of the other ones, "Doesn't out as queer as folk, is he?" And they all started giggling, because it is that British jokey comment, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And they just don't know, do they? They don't understand. It was lost in the transfer, really, there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, so there we go. That's that one there. I thought you might be interested in that one because it was in the news. It was all delivered over the 23rd of November, that big weekend for Doctor Who, where the show celebrated its 61st anniversary. We didn't miss anything. We did not miss anything from these edits, from these scripts at all. Now, one of the other things, guys, and Who viewers, one of the other things that happened last weekend, and none of you would have been involved with this because you were all here with us, giving us huge numbers last Sunday. So thank you very much for being with us as ever. But yes, last Sunday they did a watch-along, which is one of those things where you can go onto Twitter, or X as it is now. How many of them won't be there next time round? Yes, fans could get together and watch a Doctor Who episode. Now, the episode they chose was from Gatwa's first series, and it was Boom, which is probably one of the strongest out of those awful 8 episodes. At least there was some sort of familiarity to the setup of the episodes because it was Stephen Moffat. Okay, well, Moffat was part of that. He was taking part in this watch along, and out of that came an awful discussion. Well, not an awful discussion, but a lot of discussion. And it was picked up this week by some of the news resources. The headline from Digital Spy: Doctor Who Stephen Moffat responds to upset from some fans. Yes, this was published on the 25th of November by Joe Anderson. And what this deals with is the faith aspect in Moffat's episode. Now, if you think about it, Moffat's been doing this for quite a while. We know that he's an atheist. We know that RTD is not a fan of religion at all. The only religion, in my eyes, that they only tend to get at is anything to do with Christianity, because that's the only one everybody goes, because they're too frightened to do anything else, because the Christians aren't going to come after them with lions, basically, these days. Maybe they should. I don't know. But, you know, there's all that element coming on. But let's have a look at this and let's discuss it, because this is what it says from Digital Spy. Doctor Who writer and former showrunner Stephen Moffat has responded to fans who were upset recently. Moffat, who was in charge of the BBC show during the Smith and Capaldi years, returned to the science fiction franchise for the 2024 episode Boom and the upcoming Christmas special Joy to the World. Over the weekend, Moffat took part in a live watch and post along for Boom, sharing some of his thoughts about the polarized reception to the episode's themes of faith. Over the weekend, Moffat took part in a live watch and post along for Boom. Okay, so here we go. In the episode, the Doctor chides soldiers who fight based on religion, stating that they weren't thinking for themselves and blindly following what they were told, something viewers took umbrage with. Now, by viewers here at this point, I think they mean the Doctor Who fans that were watching, because I don't think many of the public were. And I certainly don't remember reporting on this show about the public outrage over the lack of faith. So I think we're talking by viewers here. I think they mean people that were watching this watch-along thing. Anyway, it goes on. On social media, Moffat explained that the Doctor's words weren't an attack on faith, but a manifestation of his frustration of his situation, in this case, standing on a landmine and being unable to move. The faith issue, Moffat wrote. I know some people of faith were upset, but keep in mind the Doctor is scared and heartbroken and so angry. This isn't all he thinks on the subject. It's just what's spilling out his mouth as he rages. That's why I included the later line about needing faith. The Doctor has faith that the universe makes sense and that kindness can work, but there's no objective proof of that. How different is that from believing a God? We've got a month to go in the series of Christmas special, blah, 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 blah. Now, this is where I don't think Doctor Who should ever be treading, personally, because especially today, in Britain, I mean, it was bad enough when they would try to, in the old days, if this came up, which was very, very rare, the nearest I think they got to it must have been the demons, basically, which dealt with the other fella, you know. But they wouldn't dare do that because, you know, in the day they would have got complaints. They've got a huge number of complaints. But now it seems to be a free-for-all, especially against Christianity or the Church of England or the Church of Scotland. And it seems very biased to me. And I just don't understand. I mean, Russell does this as well. We've seen this in the original set of episodes from Russell. We've seen this in Moffat's time as well with all those monks and stuff like that. I think this is very dodgy ground for Doctor Who to be doing. Why are they doing it? I just don't get it.
Soft target. It's just a soft target. They want to do it, and you're absolutely right. You know, the more Western, shall we say, based faiths, and I'm aware they're in Africa, obviously, but the more Western based, if you like, faiths of Anglicanism, Catholicism, things like that, they don't have that reputation of going around and placing fatwas on people or threatening death or turning up at the door and trying to carry it out. Or, I mean, I used to work in Glasgow, and I would travel up periodically there. And where I stayed with a friend right round the corner was a nice little corner shop. And jobs changed, and I didn't go to Glasgow anymore. But I did read in the paper a few years ago that the guy there, very friendly Muslim chap, he was a particular type of Muslim, and he'd always wish people happy Christmas. And another Muslim had travelled up from Leicester, I believe, and killed him.
Yes, I read about that. That was shocking, absolutely shocking.
Yeah. And that was just like, my God, but the like I say, the more Western-based religions don't tend to do that, really.
But it's,
So
again, Doctor Who, it's very out of place, I think. I don't think this is what Doctor Who does at all. Thank you, Paul Thomas Ashworth, for your super chat. As a Christian, I'm sick of RTD and Moffat taking digs. They should keep their bigotry to themselves. And that's what it does sort of come down to. It's sort of because of their lack of faith belief, everybody else should. Again, it's part of that whole aspect of these people in the media thinking that they're superior, But for me, I just don't understand why they would do it in Doctor Who. This is a family show, and I've said it before, Doctor Who should be for everyone. It should be accessible to everyone, especially as once upon a time everyone in the United Kingdom was paying for it. It doesn't matter what religion you are, or it shouldn't matter what religion you are. But to bring this up and to cause this, Paul, to cause this stuff where some people have got this thing, actually, I didn't like that in Doctor Who, but they keep doing it. How many times have they done it now in the reboot, Paul?
Well, they've done lots of. I mean, I think the Anglican kind of soldiers they had in, is it Time of the Angels? They did it then, and they've done it many times. I think they did it in the Capaldi era. I think it's something like I'm 2,000 years old. I'm old enough to be a Messiah, or something like that. I think he said, which made me laugh, actually, being an atheist myself. But I think the trouble is they're missing the point about the Doctor's character. The Doctor's meant to be accepting of everyone, no matter what religion you are, colour, creed, whatever. So why is the Doctor having that opinion? And if the Doctor had an attitude, could he be stressed? If he was so stupid as to leave the TARDIS without checking the scanner, it's his own fault, So
we've got William Orlock 86 here. Hi, William. Make up a religion to satirise like Clark Ashton Smith, but they don't have the imagination to do so. I think because now they've brought this is what always jarred me, William, about the reboot. They brought too much realism, too much reality into the soap opera elements, as I call them. I've been shot down by alleged fans over the last few years when I say Doctor Who turned into a glorified soap opera rather than science fiction. I stand by it because it did. It really did. And I think it still has become a bit of a soap. We shouldn't be having, I don't think, all those elements. I want science fiction. If I go to watch a science fiction show, I want a science fiction show. I don't want some chav waving her knickers around in a laundry. I don't find that amusing at all because it's not science fiction. That's EastEnders. Get back over to EastEnders. If I want to watch a soap opera, I'll go and watch all the soap operas. I don't, by the way. But to bring things like this in is part of that whole thing that I think, William, where they've gone to that. They've basically said, look, we want this. We want to say something about this. And we've got this show, this huge show as it was, where we can say this. We can influence people with our opinion. And I think that's shocking. I really do. I don't even think we should be having made up religions and stuff in this, because somebody somewhere will make a parallel to their own. And it could, as it has, cause problems.
He did in the End of the World, didn't he? He had the Church of the Repeated Meme was one of the lots that turned up. But I think it'd be interesting if Labour gets its way and kowtows, as it seems like it will, because it does to everything that shouts loud, and brings in blasphemy laws. Because how would it fare then? Or would those laws just protect certain religions at the expense of others? Who knows? It'd be interesting. Funny to see Moffat hide up on the grounds of blasphemy, wouldn't it?
Well, listen, in case you don't know, this week we had an idiot alleged MP standing up in the House of Commons in Parliament, basically suggesting that the old blasphemy laws, which were got rid of God knows how many years ago, should be back in Britain because he was insulted. Oh, what a stupid thing to say! It's your right to be insulted. Get over it. You know, that's if you know it's not going to happen, or will it? Because the world's crazy. We don't know, but absolute nonsense here. But yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? We've got Mugtrap saying to us, so why is the Doctor meant to be heartbroken anyway? Well, at that point, Ruby was killed, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was on
And
life support, wasn't she, at that point? I think.
Yeah, he'd witnessed her death, hadn't he?
Yeah.
But again, it seems like Mudcrab can't remember the episodes. I can't remember bits of it either. What I've watched them once, I'll never watch them again. Daniel is saying to us, seems particularly tinnier to attack Christianity when you're specifically trying to appeal to Americans. And Woodhouse 122, if they want to be big in America, going after Christian religion isn't going to help the show. Well, nothing's going to help Doctor Who in America now. It's gone. They are utterly gone over there. It's just with their agendas, which they are trying to force people, and that's why the show is doing badly, even here in the UK. I mean, we're in the month of December now. This is Christmas month. You know, they can't even. It's the hypocrisy. We have to have the Christmas Day special because Christmas is wonderful. It's this and this and this. Oh, we love Christmas. We love Christmas. Well, they seem to have forgotten what Christmas is about, you hypocrites.
But they can't bring themselves to call it the Christmas special anymore. So the festive special, it seems. Yeah.
No, it's back to being called the Christmas special.
Is it?
Yeah, it's back to being called the Christmas special because it's back on Christmas Day. It's back as being called the Christmas special. All the publicity and all the talk they've got is about the Christmas special. It was only called the festive special, apparently, because they moved it from Christmas Day, at allegedly Chris Chibnall's insistence, to New Year. So they had to call it festive because it was on New Year. Because they didn't want to call it a New Year special. Because from a marketing point of view, it sounds like it's coming in the New Year, not actually on the New Year. So I sort of get that because it's a stupid place to do it. If you're going to do Doctor Who at Christmas, I would say Christmas Eve or Christmas Day.
Yeah,
personally, you know, but this is dodgy ground we're in now, especially again in the current climate here in the UK. I think it's just absolutely essential that Doctor Who avoids any realism now. It's got to go back into science fiction, you know. It has to go back into science, and it's not going to next year. I hate to see what the messages are going to be in series 2 when it was filmed last year in 2023 into 2024. It's going to be
so out of date. So out of date. It'll be quite funny, really. Because if he thinks it's more of the same, you know, his first lot crashed and burned, didn't it? So it could be fun.
Yeah. Digby is saying to us, I'm an atheist, but for the Doctor to attack people's beliefs is just crass. He's smarter and better than that. Absolutely. He is. He's a time lord. He will know about the various religions and faiths in time and space across the known universes to him. In fact,
but then since
didn't the Time Lords have their own? Ian, didn't the Time Lords have their own faith? Wasn't it all built up around the Razalon?
You could call it. I suppose you could call it almost a religion. Or you know, it was. He was very much deified. But I mean, you know, you say he's a Time Lord, but I would refer back to the whole Chibnall malarkey, which basically says he isn't. He's not a Time Lord at all.
As far as I'm concerned, of course, that never happened because I never watched it. So if I didn't watch it, it didn't happen. Well said, JT, says Eddie. Thank you very much. They talk about inclusivity when in reality they are hypocritical. We've seen it so often this year. You know, we really, really, really have. We've got here with the Mecronon. Hello, it's nice to see you. How are you? The Doctor can't be for everyone because if it was, it would have to be watered down to not offend this group or that group. All they have to do is make him an alien again.
Yeah.
You know, and write an alien. You know, you could put on all of Pertwee's and Tom Baker's era now and not offend a person, not offend anybody. The only people you would offend are those people from the ex-DWM time team who were all got rid of, and Crystal Meth and all that clan, because it's too slow. Well, tough titties. Watch the story. Listen to the story. Get involved with the story.
Yeah, but that's too difficult because that requires effort, doesn't it? That requires effort and a little bit of thought. And they don't really have those resources in abundance, do they? People like Crystal Meth, unfortunately, I find, allegedly, and all that. But
lots of comments coming through from you in the chat. Thank you so much. Yes, Eddie, again, isn't that what RTD wanted to do because he loves the soaps? Yes, it was. It was. And you can see it very clearly now. I can sort of forgive it back in 2005 by making it viewer friendly and public friendly rather than fan friendly because they didn't know where the audience were. They knew they had us, but they had to get the general public, and it worked because the general public came in and found it a little bit sort of familiar. But I remember back in 2005, the general public of the United Kingdom, Eddie, coming back saying, when are we going into space? Where are the alien planets? Where are the monsters? You know, they wanted what they remembered Doctor Who was. So they had to sort of start doing that.
There were complaints, weren't there, that it was Earth again, Earth, 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 Earth again. And yeah, there were.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, totally.
Why it was such a big deal when they went off for that two-parter with the Unused, wasn't it? That we've just recently reviewed.
Yeah. Oh, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. Oh, they're going into space again now. And then it started to creep in a bit more as they started to think, oh, actually, we're going to get away with this. It's okay.
Yeah.
I honestly believe, says Paul Rose, that if the actors, stories makers were doing a good job, people wouldn't get so hung up on these issues. The lack of substance makes them stand out all the more. I get what you're saying there, Paul. And I do agree with you because, you know, the fact is, because of the lack of substance, as you say, they push this in and it stands out like a sore thumb. You know, you just think, oh my God, you know, and that's the bit that you suddenly go, hang on a minute. No, I don't like that. But there are certain elements I personally don't want to see in any science fiction, and certainly don't want in Doctor Who. And that's all the issues that we usually talk about, you know, all this non-binary nonsense, the T issue, all this sort of stuff. Leave it out. We've got enough of that in the daytime. You know, we don't need it in our favorite TV shows. It should be escapism. But they're so busy being representative. You know, it's all that nonsense that gets into it, isn't it? But why can you be representative of certain boxes and not others? And as Frank Spencer is pointing out, I'm a conservative Christian and my religion is constantly attacked from every single angle you can think of. If you're not religious or follow another religion, then crack on, but please don't attack mine. Well, I get that. I really do. Because it seems to be constant, doesn't it, Ian?
It does. It really does. I think Christianity is seen as a very, very easy target, and I don't think it helps itself because it's not very militant, you know. And if you look at the Church of England, for example, then they've not exactly had solid leadership in recent years, have they? They're going down the very much woke route as well, and they're having TQI vicars. What's that TQI vicar? What they call bingo. I mean, my God, seriously, there is actually a TQ Church of England vicar whose name is Bingo and has all the multicolored hair and all the ridiculous badges. And
he's a member of the Banana Splits, is he?
It'd make more sense if they were,
it would make
but
more
they
sense,
don't help themselves. And we've just seen what's been going on with Wellbe and everything else. But they put a 1 billion fund to one side, didn't they, for all woke issues and reparations and all that bollocks. Exactly. And so, yeah, they don't help themselves by appearing wet in the first place. But they're not militant, so they're a soft target.
We've got lots of people in the chat with us here as well. Thanks to Craig Dunlop for your chat there. Raymond Williams saying to us, Boom was another awful episode. I've never understood the Vicar Soldiers. It's a stupid idea and a stupid story. I didn't understand them when they first appeared in the Angel one. And then didn't they reappear again with the monks in red cloaks or something as well? What is this, I thought at the time?
They were the headless monks. They were different, but they were still a religious group. Yeah.
They were in the Matt Smith finale,
they did. So, yeah.
Matt Smith finale as well. They were there, weren't they?
Good Man Goes to War, wasn't it, that one? Yeah.
Yeah, that as well. That one as well.
This is weird. You can ask me anything about Doctor Who from the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, and I'll remember it. Ask me anything about more recent stuff, and I've just blocked it because it was just so lazy and ridiculous. I can't remember. You know, just don't remember it. You know, the signs were there going all the way back to 2005, says Sean Cryer. Why is it what we have now is a surprise to anybody? I know what you mean. I don't think it was a surprise. Certainly when we did the reviews, I don't think it was a surprise to us or myself. I think it was just a disappointment when they had the opportunity to relaunch the show as a marvelous science fiction show with the biggest budget it's ever had. But no, they had to stick to what had been going up because of various reports they're getting and all this nonsense. It's such a shame, and what a waste of time and energy. And Mark Milford is saying, funny how two guys who hate religion love to preach to everybody else.
Yes.
Well said, Mark. It's true though, isn't it? That one, they hit the nail on the head there. What else we got there? Thanks to Amaray, to Peter Venkman, Fansite, all here. Everybody's here. So Clive Calculator is saying here, so they want to make a humanist point criticizing religion, but they can only get away with bashing Christianity. It's like people get a sort of, in my eye, a perverse joy out of bashing being British, which is why I will go the other way to say, no, I am British, thank you very much. And I'll be deliberately British if I have to be, tally ho, basically, because I can't stand people bashing the country or the king or our system or our democratic rights. That's all these liberals tend to do. And it winds me up. It really does. I think, go and live in the Middle East and see how you get on.
In
China.
In the Matt Smith episode, God Complex.
Yeah.
With the Naimon style character.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that was the Naimon, was it?
It was type.
It was a cousin of, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. Naturally, just like the Ude cousins of. There was Moffat wrote in a Muslim character there, but it was very sympathetic. No piss taking or anything like that. Wouldn't have had the balls. Absolutely wouldn't have had the balls.
Of course they wouldn't. And the BBC, being ridiculous as it is now, won't stand up for this because it's frightened of not getting its DEI accreditation, or Stonewall coming along and tapping on the door saying, "Oh, you're not being right. You're not doing this right. We're taking away your lovely certificate. Please, I can run one off for you for 5 pence on a machine somewhere, I tell you." Daniel is saying to us, never believed about the New Year slot being Chibnall's idea. Well, apparently it was. Apparently it's all out there now, and there's stories about it. Apparently he didn't want it on at Christmas. The BBC were quite keen to keep it going at Christmas time. Remember that Moffat had to step in to write, allegedly, a Christmas episode. Otherwise, they'd lose the Christmas slot because Chibnall couldn't be bothered or was too busy or whatever excuse.
He said something like there's not enough Christmas stories have all been done or something like that.
They've all been done, yeah.
Something really lazy like that, yeah.
So yeah, it was, I'm afraid. And hello to John Cartwright, who's pointing out quite rightly that yes, this week it has been the license fee for the BBC is going up again, this time to 174 quid. Yes, you people who voted for Labour, pat on the back for yourselves, because they said they would do this, and here they are. They've allowed it the second consecutive years. So John is saying to us the license fee going up to £174. Mrs. Brown Boys on at Christmas. Please, Tom B, build a TARDIS and take me back to 1963. I love you guys, especially Kirsty. Well, please. What's that about? What's wrong with me? How dare you?
What's wrong with me? Yeah.
You'd think she was prettier, wouldn't you?
Oh, that's outrageous.
Yeah, you think she was. Yeah.
More engaging.
Might need dead.
She's obviously chatting them all up in the chat when we're doing the show. But anyway, yes, thank you for that, John. Yes, the license fee is going up to £174. The biggest thing you can do right now, of course, is not watch live television and, of course, cancel your license fee. If you're not happy with the BBC, send the message. They have had over 500,000 people in 2024, at latest count. I'm sure it's going to be more, cancelling their license fee this year because people are not happy with the BBC. I can also tell you that GB News has been celebrating this week because they have had more viewers watching certain shows in the evening than the BBC and ITV have. Now, that's quite an achievement for a channel that's run on about 20 pence. No disrespect to GB News, but it really is when you consider that the BBC get billions and millions and ITV gets millions and millions, and GB News is nothing. But congratulations to them. But it really says to me that this government, again, doesn't have a clue. It should have said, right, you've got 10 years, get your ideas together, your license fees going, pack your bags.
But if you don't like it, you know what you can do, don't you?
Defund the BBC, I say, all the way.
Absolutely.
Lee Smith is with us saying, yes, let's make it otherworldly and alien again.
Yeah.
God.
Escapism, please. Thank you.
Yeah. And Dougie Stewart is saying a lot of what we're saying. Very true. No one was offended with the Baker and Pertwee era. And if they were offended, it would come from the Viewers and Listeners Association with Mary Whitehouse, wasn't it, on behalf of everybody else? But, I look at some of the stuff that's on television now and think, my God, we need them back. We need somebody like her back to hold the BBC to account and make them so fed up they do things occasionally.
I wonder what she made a Doctor Who now if she was.
Oh, she would hate every minute of it, wouldn't she? She'd be on a heart machine now, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? God, not just Doctor Who, but every other piece of nonsense they peddle out. Yeah. Awful stuff.
When they were offended with Pertwee's era, it was about light-hearted stuff. Like somebody wrote in, because with the Green Death, Pertwee said that the maggot's skin was chitinous and it should have been chitinous. So somebody wrote in and said jokingly, the reason I'm writing is how to say kiting. I remember. And they also wrote in complaining that they blew up a church at the end of The Demons because the model scene looked so good. And that was it. You know, that was the extent of outrage, wasn't it? Or a scary auton policeman and everything. But that just probably made more people watch, really.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah, the ratings always went up. And then with the advent of
Yeah.
someone like Ela, which
Oh.
certainly, how you cannot put a character like that on there. Well, they did, and it didn't do any harm for the show at all, because the character was important. You know, the outfit suited the character. I mean, yes, it might have looked out of place, but it suited the character and her origins.
And we didn't have an explosion in knife crime, did we?
No.
No.
Not like, say,
nowadays, oh, please. What they have all forgotten is this is meant to be entertainment, says Paul Rose, an escape from everyday life, not a lecture on how appalling you are and should be punished. Yeah, but that's show business all over, isn't it? That is them all over. They are so up their own bums. It's unbelievable. This is great for Mudcrab. Good acting makes you enjoy watching something. Substance makes you go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's no rewatchability of the current stuff at all. I'm sorry.
No, there isn't. No, there isn't. And it's insane that, you know, you think of these idiots, brainwashed people that are going back and watching it over and over on, and then dissecting it like we would have done proper Doctor Who. And you think there's nothing there, love, to dissect. It's shallow, hollow nonsense. There's no story. It's ridiculous, especially when it comes to space babies and stuff like that. Tony Farrell's TARDIS saying, sorry, what's all this rubbish about classic Who being slow? Watch the Robots of Death, an entire believable culture brought to life in a few scenes. No, they don't see that. A minority of people don't see that. They just see slow because they have to concentrate and they don't want to. And it usually is the North London spoiled brats that live there who are part of that whole stupidity, and we're all sacked from the Time team on Doctor Who magazine and other things.
It's really funny. I feel watching New Who, I'm always checking my watch, which is really bizarre because it's a
I
shorter
was
episode.
this year.
Yeah.
I was this year on those 8 awful things we saw, 9 if you include the Christmas thing. Characters like the Doctor and James Bond were interesting because we never knew their full backstory, says Mark Jones. We just had little clues, but writers saying this is how it is spoiled the show. I don't understand, Mark, this fascination and obsession with explaining everything to the nth degree, including the Doctor's history before Hartnell, and which was why it's called Doctor Who. There's a trick in the name there, you know, about this whole thing. We don't know who he is, apart from the fact he came from Gallifrey and he's a Time Lord. That's where you keep it. That's where you leave it. That makes him quite special. We know that he was a rebel from his people. He ran away. That's all you need to know. I blame all this obsession with prequels since George Lucas brought out Star Wars Episode 1.
Yeah.
You know, I blame that.
We didn't even know he'd run away for 6 years, and we didn't know the name of Gallifrey until 11 years in with the Time Warrior. You know, we just didn't need it. It was good enough. You know, you hardly had one story referring to another, really. You know, Frontier in Space, Planet of the Daleks, maybe. But I mean, apart from that, you just didn't. Web of Fear, an Abominable Snowman, perhaps. But we didn't really have one story referring another, or companions coming back, or any of that. And it was fantastic.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. And it just went from one to the other. And that's how they had so much to play with now, because it was fresh every 4 to 6 weeks. So they've got so much now. That was a gift. That original series is a gift to them. But they always do it badly, like Sutek.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, which is just a waste of time. Just don't even bother. It's just ridiculous. We've got a question here from Michael Q. What about Ncuti Gatwa wearing a pink dress? So this is going slightly off tangent. Yeah, I used that image in our thumbnail of the release of those pictures this week because, of course, I haven't seen the play. I don't know about it. There was a pictures released this week from The Importance of Being Earnest down in London's West End, which Ncuti Gatwa is in. He's starring in that. Yes, there were pictures of him in a pink dress. There's a piano. I don't know the context, so I can't really go over it. It's obviously part of that, but I never, ever, ever remember the characters wearing dresses, the male characters wearing dresses and playing a piano. Now, I have heard as well that this is the queer version of The Importance of Being Earnest, and they're all going on about how Oscar Wilde would love it because he was queer. He wasn't at all. He was the same-sex attracted man that was hounded in prison for it. He wasn't queer. There was nothing queer about same-sex attraction, you utter pretentious nonsense. But I can't comment about it. I just thought it was funny. I thought it was a funny thing. But do you remember it, Paul, in the play?
No, I don't remember it at all. I mean, I can't think of. I know it's about identity and stuff like that. So maybe that's what they're playing on to try and make that shoehorn that in. But I was going to ask actually was have there been any reviews of this show so far? Because I'm interested to see
I don't know.
what they're like and what responses have been to it. Because it's an interesting interpretation, I think.
I've no idea. Quite frankly, I'm not interested. £75 plus a ticket. I'm not interested. I don't care.
I'm not going to go and see it. I just want to see what the reviews are like and whether or not Shooty's got a good or a bad review. That's my interest in it only.
Not interested in it at all. I'm not interested. But when they're doing this sort of stuff, and of course the reviews will probably be pretentious because they have to like it, whether they like it or not. They're all going to say, "Oh, it's wonderful, it's marvelous because it deals with this and this and this." It's not actually about representation of the importance of being earnest. It's about.
Well, I think his character is his character adopted. I can't remember because that's
well, it's all about the handbag, isn't it?
Found in a handbag, etc., etc. Yeah. So,
it's just ridiculous.
And Sharon D. Clark is playing that part, which will be interesting to see. Not.
Well, I don't really know her either, but apparently she's in it. Hi, Desert 004. Doctor Who should be on the level of the Dune Prophecy now, but they wanted a soap opera for TQ tweens instead. Yeah, and that's what he's given them. And now you're going to get people saying that the Doctor's always been gay, which is absolute nonsense. It really ridiculous, isn't it?
Absolute rubbish. Inane claptrap.
He's not been sexual at all. That's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. Hello to Eastland Burkholder, who's joined us as well. So nice to see you. Thank you very much for your chat there. Lord knows what RTD would do to the Cybermen now. Well, that's going to be a case of, what's that about?
Well, they're ultimate trans, really, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I don't know all that, but listen, that was that particular one as well. This was Stephen Moffat's faith in Doctor Who. It's been tested to the limit now, isn't it? Because people have started to call it out, saying, "Hang on a minute, we are now dealing with a society that is far more sensitive as well," which I don't think RTD or Moffat realise because they're only on the one side.
Yeah.
It's the one side of their vision, which is basically, and this is my opinion, it's they can get at people, but people mustn't get at them. They can write about certain issues that they believe in, but that must not be criticized. So when it comes to all these issues, I really do think that religion, stay away from that one, as well as all your other nonsense. Keep your opinions at the door when you're writing, because we don't want it. Just give us Doctor Who. Just give us Doctor Who. Yeah. But I think they've basically lost the idea on how to do that now. There has been also, just as we're talking about Stephen Moffat, from Screen Rant this week as well, they reported that Stephen Moffat has promised that the Joy to the World episode for Christmas will take into account the events of season 14's finale, Empire of Death. Now, they're repeating everything. We know this. We've reported this before on the show. We've discussed it before, but I'm going to read you this and look how much they're repeating this. So firstly, it's going to take into account the events of season 14's finale, Empire of Death, where Ruby leaves the TARDIS. It's been done before. This is Moffat. It's got your Christmas whimsy in there, so I suppose it leans toward the slightly more humorous end to a degree, but actually it gets quite emotional. And there's also the fun element that within the context of the wider series, the Doctor has just lost one of his mates.
Oh, God, he's going to cry again, isn't he? Bet you, tenner.
Screen Rant goes on to say, however, while the Doctor is left to grapple with the ramifications of his and Ruby's farewell, Moffat did emphasize that this wouldn't stop the episode from having a lighter tone, especially when compared to his previous adventure. So by that, we're meaning the 8 episode that precedes it, not the whole run, just the 8 episodes that precedes it, which I thought were quite light in tone anyway. What he also said then, this is Moffat, this puts the Doctor in a particular place, and in the modern show, we've always honoured that. So it's the Doctor alone which makes it sound somber, and it's really not. It's whimsical and heartwarming and emotional. It's not Blink. That's how they review all my episodes. It's not Blink. So basically, as the author of this, Nathan Graham Lowry from Screen Rant said, Doctor Who's 2024 Christmas episode will be tonally different. It doesn't sound tonally different to me. It just sounds like they're repeating what they usually do. I'll make it a little bit more jolly at Christmas. So when you think about it, the Christmas Invasion for me was the only real Christmas episode we got. The one that followed that was The Runaway Bride, which this seems to be tonally the same as. You've got a Doctor that's heartbroken because his companions just left him. You know, you've got all the... I bet you this is a repeat of that.
Well, generally the Christmas episodes always seem to be the weakest of the run, don't they? Most of the time, you know.
I think so. So, because they go for this whole thing of it's Christmas. You know, I think a good science fiction Christmas program can work. I think the nearest I got to it, even though it was whimsical in places, was that last Christmas for Capaldi, where with those dream crab things and stuff. For me. That was a really good one. I thought, actually, this is quite enjoyable. This is science fiction at Christmas. It's got that dark element. You didn't know whether they were asleep or not asleep. It was quite bizarre that way.
I quite like the Matt Smith first one when they had Michael Gambon as a kind of Scrooge character. That worked quite well. The Christmas Carol one, I think that was quite a good one. But and it wasn't modern day, which got really boring, you know. But
you had Catherine Jenkins singing then, didn't you?
Exactly. Yeah. Didn't mind that actually, but
yeah. But yeah, so there we go. It's all on the way. We are very nearly there, everybody, with all this, because it's December. It's Christmas time.
Not many sleeps left now.
Not many sleeps at all. And actually, that does remind me. We, of course, here on Whose Views are going to be here throughout December, and here's some of the stuff that we've got planned for you. Take a look at this.
Sparkle all the way to Christmas this December on Whose Views. Get ready as we enter the Tinsley Time Lash. Join us as we celebrate 40 years of BBC family favourite The Box of Delights, starring Patrick Troughton. Watch out for the Whose Views Christmas party, prepare for the ratings game, and get your scores on the TARDIS doors ready as we bring joy to the world in our latest Disney Who review. And watch out for and have your say with the latest headlines. All this sparkle and more this December on Whose Views. Make sure you're subscribed and get those sprouts on.
Can I just say I hate sprouts? I'm saying that now, okay?
I love them. I love them.
I love them. Paul, you're wrong, mate. They do remind me that the very mention of them reminds me of the bottom Christmas episodes and the Sprouts of Evil.
Yes. That was a good one, wasn't it? Oh, fantastic. Yes, so that's what we've got coming up for you. Actually, it's only just the tip of the iceberg. We do have some other stuff that we're holding back for you as well. So stay with us. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel and stay with us. Sparkling all the way up to Christmas itself, and indeed that review of Joy to the World. Mudcrab is giving us a little emoji there. And Graham is saying, the Box of Delights. That will be fab. Yes, Joggy Stewart is also saying, I've got the Box of Delights on DVD. The Box of Delights, just so you know, as it said there in the trailer, is 40 years old. If you've never heard of this, look it up. It is a children's BBC classic. This is how the BBC used to do drama. It's absolutely essential viewing here at JT Towers every Christmas. It's just come out on a Blu-ray edition from BBC Studios. I've got that now as well. Absolutely fantastic. We are going to be reviewing that. And for some of the panel that's joining me for that, they've never seen it. So looking forward to seeing how, as adults, they look at it. And does it still hold the Christmas magic? So yeah, join us for that. Gosh, I can't wait. 40 years, I can't believe it. It stars Patrick Troughton, by the way. Our very own Patrick Troughton, as we said there. Stephen Braddock.
Really, wasn't it?
It was groundbreaking in many ways back 40 years ago. We've got Stephen Braddock saying Tinsley Time Lash.
Literally, yes.
Didn't Stephen say in a previous comment, I've missed it, it was a little bit further up, he said that there'd been a review of Shooty, actually, in that play.
Oh, well, there you go.
There'd been one out, and it wasn't complimentary.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah.
You can send it to me. Whose Views 1 at Gmail. Let me know, Stephen. I might look at it then. Isn't that awful? Anyway, here we go. I love Sprouts, says Eddie. But Frank is saying Sprouts are the work of the devil. Lee Smith is
I'm with
also
Frank
saying,
Spencer
I
on
hate
that one. Yeah,
sprouts.
yeah. Where have we started? Yeah.
Was there ever a Who advent calendar? Yes. I think there were back when David Tennant, Matt Smith. I think I've got them. I have got. There was one with the Dalek on and one with the Cyberman on. I will hunt those out for you, Amaray. I'm sure there were. I'm sure I have got them. And Mark is saying something very nice. That's what I call Doctor Who Christmas episodes. Thank you so much. Yes. Lex Kane is saying, look, I love sprouts. Hurrah! And so is Julianne. So you're boots to the rest of us. Sprouts are great. I have them every Sunday lunch. Do you? Ooh. And
we're clear of her.
and I love sprouts. They would make a better doctor, says John Steve.
The talking cabbage that Tom wanted to make a better doctor than that, to be fair.
Just going to say that I would accept that cabbage over shooting any day.
Yeah. Send Paul a sprout for Christmas, says the Forbidden Man. Yeah. And Peter Venkman says about the Box of Delights. I'm going to look that up, definitely. Please do. And Amarai is saying, we are old enough to remember when Box of Delights first came out. 70s kids TV was perfect for the adults too. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's some of our lineup. Please come and join us. I'm really looking forward to it. And Troughton was magical in the Box of Delights, says John Steed. He really was, wasn't he? Yeah. So a lot of you will know that. Can you all believe it? 40 years ago, Box of Delight was brilliant TV viewing for a Sunday, says Eddie. Well, of course, I remember when it was on in the weeks and the original broadcast. We have found out, Paul, you found out that BBC 4 are repeating it.
BBC 4 are showing it next weekend, I think. First 2 episodes on Saturday night, and then they're showing the rest of it every Saturday till we get to the War Games, I think. So it's interesting timing there.
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about sprouts suddenly now, thanks to our trailer. Sprouts are one of the 4 vegetables of the apocalypse, as David Harding, and Doctor Who writers being the other 3. And Dougie Stewart saying, love sprouts, but they don't love me. Ooh. Dalek, I remember being old memory there with I love the BBC version of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. When they used to make great TV. There it is there. Says Legion James, sprouts with bacon and chestnuts, lovely. And hello to TARDIS Travels, who's just joined us today. And Stephen again is saying to us, it's going to be a Who's Views Christmas. I hope so, and I hope you're going to enjoy all the things we've got planned for you. Yes, you're going to get sick of our ugly mugs by the end of the month. I'm sure you will. But there we go. Right, next story now, everybody, and it's this one as well. Did you see this week this particular headline? This has come from radiotimes.com, but it was reported on several other platforms as well. Doctor Who named one of top British TV exports as the UK show sales hit record US high. Other series that were flagged as selling well include Planet Earth 3 and Britain's Got Talent. Now, I want you to look at this headline and remember this, because this is the headline an awful lot of them led with. There was a variation of this, guys. Doctor Who named as one of the top British TV exports as a UK show sales hit record US high. Okay, we all got that. That was the headlines. It all led with Doctor Who is successful. Basically, it's been a massive hit. Let's look at this together. Let's get on with this one from radiotimes.com. Our report has found that sales of British shows to the US hit a record high in 2023, with Doctor Who flagged as a series that performed particularly well. The latest UK TV export report from PACT, P-A-C-T, showed that UK distributor revenues from the US went up by 13% to $593 million, which is $751 million during 2023, topping the $574 million generated during 2020, the first year of the pandemic. Amongst the series which were noted as performing well in the report were Doctor Who in the first year of the BBC's deal with Disney Plus to produce and distribute the show, as well as the likes of Boat Story, Planet Earth 3, and the Got Talent franchise. I didn't realize that show was a franchise now, but there you go. PACT found that despite successes in the US, British TV exports around the world fell slightly in 2023 to 24, down 2% on the previous 12 months. Scripted drama nominated the genre share of exports, although it fell from 49% to 43% from the previous year, while entertainment saw the biggest increase from 21% to 27%. Right. Now, I thought this was quite interesting. when I saw these headlines, because I thought, oh, look, that's them saying that Doctor Who has been massively successful from exporting. That's a story. We've got to talk about that with the Who viewers and Ian and Paul. So I went to look at the report. Okay, this is where I start to think, hang on, I'm missing something. So I looked at this report. Now, PACT, first of all, let's put this into context. This is PACT, P-A-C-T, full stop. What is PACT, I hear you cry? Well, I can tell you, because this is their website. It's all there. You can join it if you are in the industry, of course. Now, what this is about is here. This is their own news. This is where all these stories came from, guys. Okay, so as it says here, British TV exports around the world fell slightly in 2023 to 24, down 2% on the previous year to 1,818 million, according to our annual TV exports report published today, although this is still 27% higher than sales in 2020 and 2021. So what I think they're getting at here is they're celebrating failure. You know, I think they're putting spin on this to make themselves look good. Bear that in mind, because I want your opinions on this as well, because this is where I think, again, this is that element of bad business we're covering recently, you know, and it's the spin there deliberately to confuse everybody with the reality. The report found that despite the challenges in the US market over the past 24 months, you've seen nothing yet, the US continues to be the largest destination for UK TV exports, accounting for almost 1/3 of exports, and it remains the region of primary focus for British distributors. So that explains why they were so intent on getting a streaming deal. There's a little bit more about this, but that's why the BBC and Bad Wolf, or studios, BBC Studios and Bad Wolf, were desperate to get an American distributor and streaming service. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, we've got other countries in the top 10 that experienced growth, included the Netherlands at 25% increase, South Africa at 20% increase, Germany and the Nordics both saw 8% increases, reaching their highest ever total export revenues. Elsewhere in the top 10 countries, France, Italy, and Spain all saw significant decreases, with France falling out of the top 5 for the first time. And I get the idea they quite like pushing that. They quite like selling that bit about poor old France there, falling out there like that. I quite like, because look at the way it's presented there. Look, it's in the elsewhere. So yeah, here we go. Co-productions and finished program sales. Full international productions increased. Sales of co-productions fell by 28% compared to the previous year to £120 million, which is likely due to a reduction in activity, especially premium drama, by some of the large US media companies that have partnered with companies in previous years. Finished programs fell by 8%. To 1,019 million, but still remained the largest contributor by some way. International productions grew significantly by 29%, and they increased their their share of total TV exports from 14 to 18%. So this is what PACT are there to do. They're there to report on this. Let's carry on. We've got this here. Scripted drama loses share to entertainment. Scripted drama continued to dominate the genre share of exports, but fell to 43% from 49% in the previous year, whereas entertainment saw the biggest increase of 6% to 27%. Scripted drama loses share to entertainment. All this sort of stuff here. I like this thing from John McVeigh here on the right-hand side, though, this quote. Now, he's the chief executive of PACT. This year's report reflects the challenges that the industry has faced over the past few years and highlights the very mixed picture and variances experienced by UK distributors. But it also shows the strength and tenacity of the sector, as well as the continued quality of British TV content that is enjoyed across the globe. Now, this is PACT's mission. PACT's mission is to help make the UK's independent production sector the most successful in the world. We are passionate about creativity, inclusion, and growth. Since 1991, our work has helped transform the sector from a cottage industry into a British success story, which employs thousands of people and is worth billions to the UK economy. Our members range from small companies just starting out through to well-established international super indies. They consist of creative and entrepreneurial people who make some of the world's most critically acclaimed and popular films, television programs, and online content. We support our members to grow both domestically and internationally by offering them the tools and knowledge they need and ensuring the best possible economic, regulatory, and legislative environment for them to do business in. And then it's got their vision there, which is the usual stuff you would expect from a business. No limits, open to all, creative excellence. I'm not going to bore you. If you want to see that, you can see it. So far, do you see any mention of Doctor Who?
No. Can I just check? Are PACT an independent organisation and not funded by the BBC out of interest?
That's a good question.
It's a great question. And it was one I was sort of asking myself at this particular point. So I went and looked at the report. And do you know what I found? This is their front cover of this report. Now, as you can see there, PACT with the BBC Studios, ITV Studios, All3 Media or A3 Media, and Fremantle. They're the sponsors of this. Yeah.
So they're going to have a lot of say.
This reads a bit like a
about
Peter
film,
Haining book, does it? A little bit, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it says billions, doesn't it? It says billions to the economy. Well, what it actually means is just under 2 billion, really, because it was 1,800 million, wasn't it? So that's just under 2 billion. So it's not billions, suggests 10, 20, 30 billion to me, but it's not that stunning, really. When you consider it's just spaffed another 3 billion to Ukraine, it's not really stunning, I don't think, really.
Well, this all comes from those headlines. Remember that headline from Radio Times and other media outlets that saying that was deliberately going for Doctor Who. Doctor Who is the big one here. Doctor Who's a huge success. It's played so far. It hasn't been mentioned at all. As ever, you guys in the chat are brilliant, and you are putting two together and making four, unlike some people. Eddie is saying these days failure is rewarded. The ratings for Doctor Who speak for themselves. Absolutely. They are just putting, says John Steed, salt into a very large wound. It nosedived this year. We've got Raymond saying the BBC hadn't made a new show since 2019. Therefore, Doctor Who is the bestseller because it's the only seller. This ties in, as Dalek Eye is saying here, they have not had a hit show for over 5 years. This is just plain nonsense. It ties in with what we were reporting last week about this report that comes out saying the BBC hasn't had a hit show in years. And as we looked at it last week as well, the shows that were getting airplay are 20 years old, or in the case of Doctor Who, 61. And I will still argue the point that I reckon it's the original series that makes more money than the new series, and they call it Doctor Who anyway. So they're benefiting from that. But keep your comments coming. I'll come back to you all in the chat now. Let's look at this report together, because this is it. This is it here. Now, I'm not going to read this all for you because, quite frankly, there's a lot of waffle in here, Paul. Ian, there's a lot of waffle in this, but it is available. If you want it, you can get it. You can look at this if you are that bored or sitting on the toilet one night after a curry. But this is what this is all about. You know, you can look at this. So I thought this was very interesting. So there's the cover of this report. And as you can see there, here are the sponsors of this report: BBC Studios, ITV Studios, Fremantle, and this All3 Media or A3 Media, whatever it is. Now let's have a look at this. UK TV exports report key findings. Lovely diagram there, as you can see. Again, it's putting out here what they've picked up here against the backdrop of challenging market conditions and strong growth, blah, 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 blah. So 2022 to 23 we're looking at here, okay? So everything I've just read out for you is here. Can you see any mention of Doctor Who there?
No.
Nope. Nope.
How about this one?
No.
Nope.
No. This one
It's
is all
like
about
Where's Wally, isn't it? It's a bit like that.
Yeah, well, it is in a sense. It's Where's Wally? Doctor Who. Where is that Wally? But here we've got here. This is obvious. This one is talking about a number of factors have contributed to a wide variety of challenges facing the global content industry. As I say to them, wait until you report about 24 into 25, 25 into 26, because your industry is already starting to change. Yeah, and it has to change now because realism is coming back into the world. America is going to be so shaken up this time next year. Let's face it. You know, some of them will know which way's up, but a lot of them are going to be left behind and sulking about it, I reckon. Look at this particular one. UK TV exports report top 20 export markets. Any mention of Doctor Who there?
No.
Nope. Nope.
These are the markets that it's talking about in this one here. Look at this bit here. Outside of Europe, China and Japan posted the highest fall in exports of 25% each, whereas most other markets registered a mixture of gains or losses. Mexico had the highest year-on-year increase of 130%, but this gain comes from a relatively low starting place, and with Latin American revenues more dependent on pan-regional activity, the activity across the region may be more useful to view. Shock, horror. China and Japan are not taking Western shows. This is groundbreaking stuff. You know, gosh, it shows you a state of the world as well. But I mean, hasn't Hollywood allegedly been having problems for years with trying to get their films into China and Japan?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
China has known issues, doesn't it, with actors of color, shall we say? Like
yes,
they took Boyega off the Star Wars posters.
That's a famous incident, isn't it, Ian?
Yeah.
It really is.
And of course, so Doctor Who's not going to do very well when it's lead, although admittedly there are some episodes where he doesn't feature, so they might do well. But I can't imagine that doing or being very popular in the Chinese market.
There would be certain markets where you just know who you are. But I mean, we can't tell because we don't have access to China, especially. But they must have their own. I mean, we do know they have their own internet there, don't they? They have their own. It's all state, it's all state controlled and state approved and state run. Their television stations are the same as well. So surely the output that the people are being watching, even if they do have an equivalent of a soap opera, it's state approved. I mean, that's where the West is heading. Let's face it, that's where we're going. Can you not see it on the wall, you idiots that are pushing your agendas to us and dismantling democracy? But let's have a look at this particular slide, everyone. The UK TV exports report, export markets. No sign of Doctor Who in this.
No Doctor Who, no.
There's this. Distributor TV sales variance. Interesting stuff if you're into all this sort of stuff with those little dots. Look at this. The growth of TV sales in selected territories for the 7 largest distributors illustrates some of the variance throughout the period.
If we join the dots together, does it write Doctor Who? Does that come up?
Looks like a heat map of a football match where the midfield.
Yeah. When you join it all together, it says "fooled you." We've got this one. This is the TV sales by service type. This year, the category of TV sales showed a slight shift back to the broadcast category, with 50% sales to broadcaster clients, up from 47% in the previous period. So you've got all this sort of. I mean, this is, if you're in the industry, this is all very good. But can you see any notice of Doctor Who?
If you're in the industry, you must be in a coma by now, surely. God's sake.
I want to know how many of them will actually read all this. It's at this point, everybody, with this growth focus, North America continues to be the number 1 ranked region for growth, with 80% respondents ranking the region number 1. Grouped closely together, Western Europe and Asia Pacific follow, with Western Europe not ranked lower than number 4 by any distributor and dominating second place rankings. Blah blah blah. And it was at this point actually that I continued to look at it, but I got fed up with it. I got bored with looking for the words Doctor Who and how Doctor Who had played a part in these headlines of being hugely popular, because that's what they were suggesting, I think, from that headline. I think they were suggesting that Doctor Who has been hugely popular in America, especially. There are other aspects of those slides I'm not going to bore you with. There are several other pages from that report. It doesn't mention Doctor Who anywhere until the sponsors come along. And look who it is. BBC Studios as a top exporting titles as part of this, who are there at the top as well. Their top 3 exporting titles: Doctor Who The Specials 2023, Planet Earth 3, The Mallorca Files, The Series 003. Janet Brown, president of global content sales for BBC Studios, looking fabulous there, says, despite an evolving and disrupted global content landscape, British content continues to have incredible resonance around the world, and BBC Studios is privileged to have one of the most robust and in-demand portfolios in the marketplace. From critically acclaimed and popular series such as Doctor Who, Planet Earth 3, and The Mallorca Files, I am proud of BBC Studios' leadership and the role we play in bringing the best of British creativity to the world.
She been on the gin?
Yes.
It's definitely on something, that's for sure.
There it is there, guys. That's the first mention of Doctor Who, and that's what spawned these headlines. Doctor Who named one of the top British TV exports as UK show sales hit record US high. Talk about grasping at straws and scraping the bottom of the barrel. What do you make of that?
Desperation. Absolute desperation, for God's sake. Named by who, really? Really, who?
That is pure spin.
Yeah,
pure
propaganda.
Spin.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what we're looking at here. I read through that report, understanding some, not understanding more, because that's not my industry. Again, I'm looking at this thinking, where's the business aspect in that? Where's the sense in this? So anyway, they're reporting this. And then that's the first mention of Doctor Who from BBC Studios itself. The top 3 exporting titles: Doctor Who, The Specials 2023, Planet Earth 3, The Mallorca Files, the series 003. So from that, they're able to go, oh, it's been hugely successful. But
critically acclaimed, by who? Popular from
by
who?
them, isn't it?
He got a BAFTA Wales award, didn't he? So he must be critically acclaimed.
Yeah. There are lots of comments coming from this as well. I looked at this and thought, right, what you people are pushing here is the fact you have sold it to your foreign partners, to your foreign markets. It doesn't equate to actually being watched.
No.
Yeah.
So what they're now doing is they're now saying, oh, look, we've managed to sell it to all these. That's hugely successful because we did the deal.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I really don't. You know it's popular with bums on seats watching it. You know it's popular by how much your merchandise is selling.
It was probably sold to like Disney particularly almost as a lie, allegedly, because they got something that was different from what they probably discussed in the planning stages, no doubt. You know.
Yeah. We've got lots of you in the chat coming up with this. Dalek I is saying the spin Doctor Who, self-backslapping BBC propaganda in full flow, says John Steed. RTD will be looking at new audiences in North Korea, allegedly, says Mark Greaves. Legion of James. Total wordplay to fudge the facts and the figures. It shows the desperation. Viewing figures and lack of demand for merchandise, etc., paints a very clear picture in their own hubris that stops them from admitting the truth. It's because it seems to me like wallpapering over the crack in the wall constantly, over and over again.
Yeah,
trying to say to the market, "Oh, we're successful. We've got great British output here. Great British." I'm not taking away from the fact that they do contribute to the British economy by bringing in the foreign money. But what happens when that network or that distributor or whatever platform that's going to be in the front says, oh, only 10 people are watching this. We don't want it.
Yeah.
Stop the sale. You know,
it's like with, you can have a football team that can spend £50 million on a player, and the news headlines will make it look like that football team is quite a serious player and possibly going to win the league or whatever. But it doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to fill their ground on match days. And it doesn't mean that they're going to win their games. And they could just still end up getting relegated. It has happened before, and clubs have gone bankrupt as a result of it. Just money doesn't necessarily equate to success.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. And also with the money, of course. Thank you, Peter Venkman, for your contribution here. It seems legit. Yeah. The whole thing about it is as well that when it comes to the money, it can dry up. It absolutely can dry up. So if your show isn't being watched and a station comes back, I'm going to be looking out for this time next year to see this packed report, to see what they update it. Because as Stephen Braddock says here, this report is the specials, not season 1 this year. So why do they include a picture of Gatwa and Millie then? Well, I can answer that one. That's basically them saying that's the current Doctor Who and his companion.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just silly like that. They're using that one. You know, that's all I'm reading into it. I know others will read other stuff into it, but that's all I'm saying. That's the current Doctor Who. Forbidden Man's saying the elephants look good. They did, didn't they? They look so pretty. Yeah. I've never heard of them. I've never heard of the Mallorca Files, says Amare. I haven't either. I have not. I've never heard of it either. But then again, I don't really watch the BBC because it's full of nonsense. And I'm not alone now because there's millions of us that don't watch it. Doctor Who, says Paul Stenterford, not being featured in the exports market is no surprise for those that have been following this. It's the shill media who try to gaslight us into thinking that current Who is successful. Yeah. Isn't it just? Isn't it just? It just seems to be what Rick Storm's saying here, a pile of horse and then lots of little asterisks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doctor Who, the special, says Legion of James, yet they picture Gatwa. This is desperation, desperation, desperation. It'd be interesting to see how Series 1 has done if we can get those. I'm going to be I'm going to keep an eye on this PACT lot and see what they come back. Stephen Braddock is agreeing with us. This is total spin and propaganda. Domgo, if only Michael Grade was still in charge. If people like look, the thing is as well, let's get over that whole thing about Michael Grade and stuff, because it wasn't him that axed Doctor Who. He tried and failed. It was actually Peter that did it. Peter Cregan. He was the one that axed it eventually. But people like Michael Grade, they knew the business because they had started. They'd been around in it for years. They knew their industry. They knew their audience as well. Look at those great big Saturday blockbuster nights we had in the 70s and into the 80s. That was done by people like Michael Grade, you know, because they understood what entertainment was and they went out to get entertainment. I reckon if people like Michael Grade were still in charge today, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in now where people are switching off their television, you know, and looking at their own entertainment. It's been said now for the past, 15 years, people can now make up their own evening's entertainment from the various platforms and the various channels that are available. Oh, I'll go there, and then if I go there and I go there, it's very similar to YouTube. You can actually do that on YouTube now because there's so many people doing content. You can actually start with that show and go to that show and go to that show and go to that channel and that channel. You know, it's I reckon if Michael Grade and people of his ilk were there, we would get proper entertainment still. But they've all gone, being replaced by all these idiots. Eddie, Paul, you've nailed it. It's 100% propaganda, sorry. And Lee Smith is saying full spin cycle. I like that one. Get that. Daryl's with us, everybody. Daryl Joyce is here to say, when a TV series captures the zeitgeist and an audience are drawn in, everyone knows it. And you don't need industry puff pieces to convince.
Yeah.
That's a very good point, isn't it? Because you do know, because everybody knew in the industry Doctor Who was back in 2006. They knew in 2006 that was a massive hit. You know, and then everybody was coming back saying, I've got to be in it, and I've got to direct it, and I've got to do this, and everybody wanted a piece of that in the industry. It was massive, wasn't it? It was huge.
It was. Yeah.
Stephen Braddock saying to us, it's popular because BBC Studios say it is based on sales, but what about the viewing figures, which have gone through the floor? Exactly. I wonder if they do a report. They probably do somewhere, but it's probably internal only, of figures and, you know, all that sort of stuff. I wonder if there have been emails going around about Doctor Who and other shows saying, why is your show not pulling these things in now? Why are we getting all these complaints? Why are people... I wonder. I wonder.
Yeah.
If we're misreading this, by the way, to anybody that's watching this show and knows better, please get in touch. If you're thinking, hang on a minute, that's not what they're saying. If you've got something to say, then please do get in touch with us and let me know. You can get in touch at whosviews1@gmail.com. If I've read that wrong, and if you guys from the slides I've put up on the show have read that wrong, and you know better, and you've seen where Doctor Who has played that part, get in touch and tell me why, and even come on the show and explain it to us, because we're not industry anymore. So come and let us know.
I was going to say, though, it's interesting. I know no one's watching Doctor Who now, but they can't justify the iPlayer results and the viewing figures together now that the Christmas one is going to be just shown in real time, and then here and in America on Disney Plus. So they can't, cook the books any further. It'll be literally under 1 million people watching it on Christmas Day, and that'll be it. So they can't kind of twist the figures, can they? If it's not on the iPlayer at midnight, can they?
No.
It's an excellent point, Paul, and it's something we will be talking about here on Headlines. Because, of course, we are going to be looking at the ratings again, as we have done. We will have our ratings analysis. We will be looking at all that. So stay with us here on the channel, because that's a brilliant point. And we will also be talking about when they announce what's happening with that, because we do know it's all dropping at the same time. iPlayer, BBC One, Disney, everybody's getting it at the same time. So we do know that if you are outside the UK, you will be getting it on Boxing Day, because it's going out at a certain time here on Christmas Day, on the 25th of December itself. So we get it on Christmas Day. Those of you in the various other time will probably get it on Boxing Day. So it's going to work the other way this time around.
Yeah.
That's what we've heard. So when that's confirmed, we will be here to talk about it here on Headlines. Self-gratitude on the BBC's part, says John Steed, and it will collapse like the great Roman Empire in flames. I think that's already happening for one reason or another with the BBC here in the UK. I think that's definitely happening. But of course, certain people, certain ministers, certain representatives of so-called government, heads in hand. Nothing to see here. Everything's fine, darling. It's all wonderful. No, it's fine. Go ahead. Absolute idiots. So it was the specials and not series 1, says Eddie. Yes, it was the Tenant specials and possibly even the Shooty Gatwa Christmas special. It just said the specials 2003. It wasn't 2023. It wasn't that specific, was it? This is absolutely delusional, says Graham. And it smells of desperation, says John Mason.
It smells of something,
Mark is saying to us, it's more Doctor Who is more of a Sony and Disney Plus production now. Well, it is, because they've put in more of the money. We know that. We're talking about that continually, aren't we? They've put in more of the money. BBC Studios and Bad Wolf didn't put in that much, it turns out. The Beeb is starting to sound like Magnus Greel celebrating his successes in time travel, says Digby.
The Gatwa experiment was a great success. That'll be it.
Yeah. I can't wait until later next year, and they have to admit that Disney has ditched this disgusting show, says Domgo.
Well, the way things are going in America, it wouldn't be a surprise, would it? Because they are ditching woke, aren't they?
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I know there's certain people over there, like that awful, ridiculous channel. Excuse me, everybody in America. What's it called? MNBCD.
MSNBC.
More initials, more acronyms. Get a grip. That's bloody awful. I've seen more clips of that on the Tube of Who, and those idiot producers like that Joy Woman and stuff like that. No wonder they're shedding viewers by the millions every day. No, and that's the one that's up for sale recently. It's got up for sale, isn't it? Because they've thought, right, we've got to get out of this. It's got up for sale, and people are saying, Elon, do you want to buy a TV show?
He has posted about it on X, saying should he buy it?
He's a thinker, isn't
it? I don't know what the MSN bit. I used to think it was Microsoft Networks, but I don't think it really is. But
it can't be, can
it? It's supposed to be a news network, isn't it? And he was saying, should I buy this? What do you think? I could turn it into a news network, which was quite biting. I think it'd be really funny.
Tinker. He is a little tinker. He'd probably get it for a bargain basement price for his business, do you know? Yeah. And then actually you could argue that someone like Fox News would have a real intelligent rival. Because, I personally reckon it could be quite balanced. It could be their equivalent of GB News. It could be USA News. Whatever. I think from what I've seen of what they've done, though, I think it's going to be very difficult because they'd lose that as well, wouldn't they? The one with the short black hair. She's nightmare. Some of these people, but you just think they'd all leave, so they'd have to reinvent it. It might be just to shut it down and start up again with something new. I don't know. Would the American public go back to it? I have no idea. I'm not there. To me, The Last of the Summer Wine was more successful in the final season in 2010 than New Who and Disney Who special, says Lex. And Paul Rose is saying to us, this was their chance to expand the brand. What they forgot was to make a good show, so it has failed. Now, don't forget as well, in 2025, we're also getting this alleged, I can never remember the title, the spin-off with the Sea Devils, apparently. So let's see how that fares in the new year, shall we? Baron French is saying, Disney recently put out their trailer of everything coming in 2025, and Doctor Who was not mentioned, really.
Oh, dear.
Really? Oh, let's not read too much into that. Maybe they just forgot because they've got the title wrong as far as we're concerned. The show's called Joy to the World, and on their posters they put Joy to the Worlds.
But people are claiming that's a spoiler. Apparently, goodness me, God's sake,
It's probably a typo from somebody.
It's definitely a typo. Yeah, it's not a spoiler at all. That's nonsense.
It's Derek. Like DWM's Peter Davidson is the Doctor.
Oh, no, I hate that. I can't stand that. It's Davidson, not Davidson. He's been around for 40-odd years now in Doctor Who. Surely we know it by now. Derek is saying to us, notice B&M have cut back on figures this year to compare past years. I give it 2 more years and we'll stop the limited edition figures, as done Daleks to death this year. No Doctor and TARDIS yet. So, well, certainly from my point of view, the character options... Christmas offerings in B&M, I'm not interested. You've got those 2 new series Daleks as part of the history of the Daleks thing. Not bothering with them, although I like the box. It's a lovely colour. And then you've got the 3 action figures from the new series with Reva's Song and stuff. No, I can't be bothered with that either. I'm not interested. Shame. Had they brought out something from Proper Who, I would have been saying to everybody, "Can you get me this for Christmas, please?" But there you go.
Isn't it? That's what's selling.
Yeah,
not the new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at this from Heretic. As referenced earlier, WhoTubers are clearly only accepting the title of the article and screeching anyone who thinks it's being cancelled as being stupid. Honestly, they think we're the idiots. A lot of the time, though, these people that will just see the headline and not bother doing the research. Now, on this particular one, I looked at the report because I thought, I want to know how it's played a role. How has it been successful? When I'm being told continually by viewers on this channel, it's not. When I'm seeing other pieces of work saying it's not made an impact, and when I genuinely think that season 2 is not going to be received either because it's now so out of date to fit in with the American people who we now know are rejecting these agendas, Paul.
Call me naive, but
Naive.
if Doctor, thank you, yeah, if Doctor Who was successful, they would be shouting season 3 from the rooftops, wouldn't they? They'd be like, it's coming now, next year, it's going to be season 3, but they're not,
Well,
are they?
certainly, Paul, to get the likes of all of us who are going,
To shut us up for a start.
yes, we would go, Yabu, you lot, you're wrong again. You're ifs and ots and phobes. But RTD is very, very precise. And he said it several times in various things. It was reported on the various sources. The decision will be made, i.e., possibly even announced after season 2, right? Personally, I think a decision's already been made. And they're not going to say anything because it would harm season 2 if people think it's not coming back for season 3. But though nobody's watching, nobody cares anyway. Your minority might care, and that's where we will be running a Who's Views helpline for them, which I'm really going to charge them for and make some money out of it, quite frankly. All the merchandise the panel has, and I see no Jodie or Gatwa, and you never will in the Doctor Who loft here with me, I can assure you.
No, I've not got a Jodie or a Gatwa figure at all.
No. I don't even have the Blu-ray.
I have the 12-inch Jodie, but it's in a bag with 5 firework rockets, and they will be.
How can she breathe in the bag, Ian? That's really cruel.
That was part of the plan, really.
There we go. Disney have never published viewing figures to the Forbidden Man. Now, apparently, according to this, because I've been asking about this on and off throughout the year with various people that I meet, Forbidden Man, apparently they don't have to, because in America they don't necessarily have to, and also because it's a streaming platform. So within certain elements of the industry, they do, but trying to get hold of those is very difficult. I have asked, and I've continued to ask. Who knows? Somebody might be able to get them for me one day. I'm going to keep asking people, and I'll keep saying yes. I'll do you favors, but we'll see what happens. And they don't have to apparently publish it publicly, guys.
Right.
I think the thing is, often, I know Doctor Who's not a new series, but a first season of something doesn't always, isn't always a success. If you look at Only Fools and Horses, that first series didn't go down very well. And it was lucky to get a second series. But the trouble is with this Doctor Who, like we said already, it's been already made as part of the same block. So it's not a different series. It's exactly the same repetitive stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't change tack. I mean, Blackadder, the first, was funny, but it was very, very different in style to say the second, third, and fourth, and probably wouldn't be remembered as such or as well if it.
I love the first season. I think it's brilliant, absolutely superb. I love it. Yeah,
I'm quite fond of it, to be quite honest as well. But it was probably that and the third one were the least popular ones. I think the second and the fourth one were the best, but yeah, absolutely. It's interesting times.
Mark is asking us here, how much of the 100 million for Doctor Who was spent on the production? BBC Studios lost money, but got international distribution from Disney Plus. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this is the big thing that we're trying to look at here on the show as well. So where did it all go? They had 9. I'm going to go through it again. You had the Christmas the Tenant specials, the Christmas special. That was 4. 8 episodes of series 1, 8 episodes of series 2, and 5 episodes of the spin-off. 100 million.
I was wondering the other day the iPlayer Hooniverse nonsense, how much the BBC forked out to get the rights to put them on the iPlayer.
Oh yeah.
So that must have cost them a small fortune.
Totally.
And they've only got limited time, 2 years, 18 months, whatever, to have them on there, unless they pay another residual to the writers, etc., then they're not going to be there for very long. So that costs them a small fortune.
Certainly, if any of the writers have got their sense, they'll up their price.
Yeah.
It is really. I mean, this Hooniverse thing on iPlayer was doomed from the very start. They should have just said, "Listen, you've got this for a year, gang. Go and enjoy it," rather than saying it's going to be there forever, because it's not going to be there forever.
No.
And as we keep saying continually on this show, get your physical media.
Yeah.
They can't take that away from you. Take it. Go and get it now. Wherever you are in the world, get Doctor Who on your DVDs. Get them. Actually, I would say the DVDs first, because the DVDs are unedited. They haven't been altered in any way. There's the original episodes. Whereas even the Blu-rays, as you guys were telling me for season 2, some of them have been tampered with, or they're not the same. So start with the DVDs and then go and get the Blu-rays. We've actually got people telling us about this. Mark is saying to us, Mark Jones, MSNBC stands for Microsoft NBC. And Sherry, thank you for this. MSNBC started as a tech channel. I think the MS might have been Microsoft. Early on its run, Princess Diana died. They took all the ratings, so MSNBC became a news channel. Well, thank you for telling us that, because of course we're not aware of this because we're in Britain. So thank you for putting that in. That's very interesting. So wow. So from going from there to where they are now, up for sale because of what was going on, and presenters sulking, from what I can tell, and all these things I see on the Tube of Who. I just think, my God, isn't that ridiculous?
This is not the same show that Whoopi Goldberg's on, is it? It's not that show, is it?
Oh, that show's awful as well. No, I think that's another one of their thing, isn't it?
That's called The View, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that must have to go. That must have to go now, because that's awful, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I can't stand them. We've got a British equivalent here called Loose Women, which is awful, but it's not that bad. Absolutely awful. I can't believe it. It's just like, ugh, please. Now I know
it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
I've watched it once and never again, because I just thought, what are these blabbing on about? Paul Stenterford is saying to us, it's more like soy to the world. I like that. I might have that. I'll just make a note of that.
The View is ABC.
All right,
ABC. There we go. Robert is with us saying it's absurd that they made. This is Robert Payne. It's absurd that they made Series 2 at the same time as Series 1, expecting the world to be the same.
Yeah,
I was saying it last year. It's a huge mistake, because they couldn't actually correct anything. Yeah, because it was back to back. So they've had all this negativity, even though they're denying it all about Series 1. Series 2 is going to be more of the same stuff. It was written at the same time. It's just going to be a continuation. Absolutely ridiculous. They should have waited, got the feedback, but no, they didn't want to do that. Perhaps even Gatwa was only on a limited time because he wanted to do all this other stuff. He was saying he wanted to go back to theatre when he got the role.
Yeah.
Super John.
Surely they could have got someone else with the Doctor instead if he wasn't available or keen to do it,
I'm sure that cabbage was available.
Yeah.
Sprouts. Lots of sprouts. Super John, it's nice to see you as well. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been very busy in the chat again tonight. So thank you so much, everybody, for your opinions. I thought this particular story, though, was very interesting, because I just thought, I can't see this. I can't see it. I can't see any reference to Doctor Who. And then when it came back there at the very end, and it happens to be one of the sponsors of the actual report. Yeah. Because they all get their points here. They all get their points here. We've got this bit here, I have to say as well. Here they are here, just to actually put this down. UK TV Exports Report, the sponsors, BBC Studios, Fremantle, ITV Studios, and All 3 Media. There it is there for you.
Doctor Who. There's no potential for bias, is there? Let's be honest.
No. But Doctor Who is
Top Gear there, aren't they?
Yes, they're mentioning brands like Strictly Come Dancing, Stroke Dancing with the Stars, Top Gear, and Doctor Who. That's the second mention. That's all it is there. But did you see the headlines running around saying Strictly Come Dancing and Top Gear lead the charge into America? Of course you don't. But there it is. There it is. They're the sponsors, just to prove it. BBC Studios, Fremantle, ITV Studios, and All 3 Media, the sponsors of this report from the Pact. So let's keep an eye on that one. Let's see what else they're going to put out there as well. But it just shows you as well, when you see headlines like that in this media, you've got to look into it, haven't you? Hope you've enjoyed that one, everybody. Listen, have you heard about this week as well as our "and finally" item here for you? Have you all seen this? We all knew this was coming. Yes, this week, Character Options released the 15 Doctors Sonic Screwdriver in red. It's a 2-tone chromed edition, everybody, this one. How many of these have we now got? Is this the 4th version of this thing?
I don't know. It still looks like a training shoe to me. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
It really
An orthopedic insole.
Yeah.
I mean, this design must be a blessing to them because they can change.
So is that
the
insole
colour
you
of it.
said there, Ian? Just
Oh,
checking.
there's an orthopedic insole for
Insole, yeah.
orthopedic arsehole. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at this.
It's
TARDIS Travels is telling me
awful,
this is
isn't it?
now the third version because we got the blue, didn't we? We got a blue and we got a whatever else it was. I can't remember. I don't pay much attention to these, to be honest. But yeah, not much love for this. Super John saying I thought it was pink. I think it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be red because it is red in the show, but it's sort of come out pinkish for them.
Are these metal or plastic? These things?
These are metal. These are the character options toys.
Okay.
Anyway, it's available now if you want this, everybody. Strangely, actually, for our viewers, not much love for it.
I'm with Paul on that one. Yeah.
I mean,
it looks like a cheap toy from Poundland, says Lex there. Actually, it's not, because as Julianne is putting out, it's $39.99. Yes, $39.99.
That's why I was asking if it's plastic, because it looks plastic, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of the character options things. Lots of you telling us you're not going to get this and you're not going to buy it.
40 quid. Yeah,
it's £40.
Yeah.
And this one's
I must remember to ask for something different at Christmas.
Yeah. Well, people aren't going to buy you that.
Doctor Who, if you can avoid it.
Oh, God, no.
People aren't going to buy you that at $39.99. It is actually a limited edition, I believe. I'm not going to publicize it. If you want it, you can go and get it. But character options, not for me, I'm afraid. Not for many of us. Good luck with it.
It certainly looks limited, doesn't it?
I don't know. Apparently, this pink one, it could be pink then, is in the Christmas special. Well, we'll soon find out then. I don't know. But Peter Venkman giving us a little bloop there. It looks very Star Wars prequels to me, says Lee Smith. Yeah, I know what you mean. Daryl Joyce is saying no, not really. I'll pass, says Bill. I like a screwdriver to look like a screwdriver. Exactly. And as Robin Calvert is saying to us, that's not the sonic screwdriver.
And that's not the Doctor either.
It's at the bottom of a trainer, says John Steed, agreeing with you, Paul. And so is Super John as well. Looks like a child shoe sole. TARDIS Travel saying, I only bought the blue version.
Take it back. You might get your money back.
Yeah. It's plastic and just chromed, says Julianne Paul. There you go.
Right.
There you go. I thought it was a pair of space shoes, says Mark Jones. And Derek Hart is saying, I've not got any 14th or 15th sonic screwdrivers. Yeah, I haven't even got that silly one for the Jodie Whittaker one either. But at least it had the sort of element of looking something like a sonic screwdriver. You know, they kept that sort of basic. And Craig Dunlap is saying, pop out emitter. Well, we've all got one of those. Well,
it might be your age, Craig. Just be careful.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's not gone down well here on Who's Views. It's something that certainly won't be on my shelves. A lot of you saying you're not going to buy it. John Cartwright also saying to sweatshops in China working hard, I see. Eddie, 40 quid, daylight robbery. £40. I bought my 1969 Doctor Who annual for that. Wow, that was a bargain.
Bargain, yeah.
That was a much better
money,
worth.
much better spent.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Give the £40 to a pensioner instead, says Komodo. Lovely point. Lovely point. Yeah. So anyway, we've got all that there. Thank you very much, everybody, for all this. Oh, here's Mark here. Mark Milford saying, by filming all at once but airing over different years, they can report losses for the year it premiered. So they have 23, 24, and 25 for reporting financial losses. But why would you spend money to go and make something and then prepare for it to be a flop?
Yeah.
When you should be, I mean, as I keep saying, they had the opportunity to make this a big, bold, fantastic science fiction Doctor Who by just telling good stories and having good cast and a good script. And all the boxes for crap were ticked in my eyes.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a shame, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous. TARDIS Travels is replying to us, I am a sucker for character options, figures and stuff. And Lee Smith blatantly saying, I'm not, by saying, screw that tat.
Sonic, screw that tat.
And Dougie is saying to us, a Who's Views hoodie for Christmas. Well, yes, they're available. They are on our shop. As you know, the Who's Views shop is available if you want. You can go and have a look at all that. Carwin has just joined us as well. Nice to see you, Carwin. Thank you for joining us. But there we go. Wow. Yeah, and a lot of sarcastic comments coming up about that one. But thank you very much for that. There's a yellow one to come, says Julianne. Oh, is the yellow one to come? I had seen it because it was at the Toy Fair earlier this year. So yeah, they're going to do all these sort of different coloured ones to try. And certain people are buying these. You've got must about 2 or 3 now.
It's really cynical though to produce different ones just to get people to buy them. That is really pathetic, isn't it?
Well, they've been doing that with the Sonic Screwdriver since the first one with Eccleston at 2005. Then they reissued it with Tennant so many times. Then there was a brand new version for Smith. Then there was a brand new version for Capaldi. Then you had the Whittaker one. They see you coming, don't they? They see you coming.
Like the multiple different covers for Doctor Who magazines or Radio Times.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand having a new one for each Doctor, but not like 7 different ones for the same Doctor. You know what I mean? That seems a bit, just trying to make money out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, I hope you've enjoyed that, everybody. Don't forget, we are here right now for our run-up to Christmas here. We've got lots planned for you on the channel. Thank you for joining us tonight. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And please, 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 we are still getting messages. Please make sure you are still subscribed to the channel. Keep checking every other day if you to make sure you're still subscribed. Give us a thumbs up because that, as you know, helps us. And make sure you've rung that bell for all our shows that are coming through for you in December. We're going to have a great time. Yeah, until we get to Joy to the World, ironically. Anyway, yes, Third Doctor Ian and Paul, thank you so much for joining me again for this edition.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Oh yes, and we'll be back Wednesday, 8 o'clock UK time, as we enter the time lash. Dun, dun, dun. Can't wait. That's going to be a great show. We're live. Come and join us then. We'll see you then. Until then, everybody, tra. Thank you very much.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.